to you by 𝐟IOPEL Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Right now featuring amazing stem cell technology. For all your pain and for the guys, check out the latest in low T and testosterone therapy to make you feel like yourself again. 𝐟IOPEL Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center at 𝐟IOPELcosmetic.com. Now, all juiced up and ready to go. Here's Johnny.
Good morning. Tuesday. I only know that because the trash trucks just came by. I forgot what day it is. Let me sit in this studio all day long. It's like, I don't know. The only day I know it's different is Saturday because it's 10 a.m. and Sunday because I sleep in a little bit. It is amazing to have you for episode 91 is what I meant to say. Episode 91. Man, we have a ton going on today. Bad loss for the Dubs last night in Denver. There's no other way to put it. Let me fix this mic. It's kind of popping on me. There's no other way to put it. A bad loss last night at home against Denver. No JOKIC, no Murray, no Brown, but it's more JOKIC standing there on the side with his stoic face as everybody else kind of smiled. And the Warriors just didn't show up last night. We'll get more into that conversation. And now they're talking about a back with Steph Curry, all those kind of things. So it's funny how one game can flip everything. They did get a little bit of luck because Minnesota lost. Minnesota, a game they should have won. But Indiana got a last-second shot from Obi Toppin, and they win. Houston probably distances themselves enough that the Warriors couldn't get the 2 spot, but they probably couldn't get much higher. But if they had lost and Minnesota had won, then you'd have a dead heat for 6, and that's not great. So let's go over the chalkboard. We'll get out to the roll call as well as people were in early today, but want to welcome everybody into John Lund Unleashed. If you're new, maybe you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and make sure that your alerts are on so that we can hit you up when we go live, which is 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. But we do all sorts of things that we are live. And today I've got another idea for a short live, and then I'll write a story around it at johnlundunleashed.com. So check that out and make sure you're subscribed. That's John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. A Bay Area Sports Collective, as you can see in the, I guess, my left, your right. You have 2 QR codes there. One's to subscribe to my channel. One's to subscribe to Bay Area Sports Collective, which is me, Tom Tolbert, and Polly Mack, along with Creative Tony, former KNBR guys. And we've decided to start something called Bay Area Sports Collective, and we're starting to grow that thing. So please give us a subscribe, a like, etc. over there. It runs on both channels. Facebook, John Lund. Also, I will expand that out to John Lund Unleashed, but I'm haggling a little bit with Facebook, but whatever. Twitch and at John Lund Radio on X. Good morning to those watching on X. Much appreciated. And on Instagram as well, so you can take us with you. And, of course, you could be listening on Apple or Spotify and wherever you get your favorite podcast. So there's all that stuff that we have to promote. Episode 91, as I said, they lost to shorthanded Denver, a bad loss, and why. They did dodge a bullet. Paul George is out for the season, and that would have been no Jimmy Butler. Mock mania, I tell you, as both this is going to blow up the internet, Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah on the same day release a mock draft. So I don't know if the bandwidth of the internet can handle both of those things, but I think Mel's pick is the pick that you want of the 2 and not DJ's. We will discuss the Dre Denver story straight from Adam Schefter's mouth, and I have a theory on it, so we'll get into that conversation. I have a theory on everything. Another special teams player for the 49ers. So if you could put a bunch of special teams players on the field, the 49ers would be great because they got another one yesterday. The Giants are selling 10% of the team, and I'm not angry about it. You can do whatever you want. And the Giants are valued at around $400 million, or excuse me, $4 billion, $4 billion, which is 10% of the team, which they'd be selling, would be around $400 million. We'll discuss. Major League Baseball is a problem because the Cubs and Dodgers are one of the 2 biggest teams in all of baseball. And yet I look on ESPN.com today, and opening day in Japan, where Shohei Ohtani got a couple of hits, Yamamoto was really good. They beat the Cubs 4-1. It wasn't on the front page of ESPN.com. Mel's mock was. The NFL's in the offseason. Major League Baseball just started. 2 of your biggest teams, a lot of stars on both of those teams. And yet ESPN.com decides, hey, you know what? Let's not have that be the cover. And I get it because it ran on Fox this morning at 3:10 in the morning Pacific. If you weren't up, it did run on Fox. Now, if it had run on ESPN, they'd have it all over the place. So I get it. I understand part of it, but still, one sport opened, another sport's in their off season, and that sport takes you off the front page of ESPN.com. Baseball's got to rethink this whole Japan thing, and I get it. And I understand, make it worldwide, do this, do that. You've got both teams with superstar Japanese players. The Dodgers have 3 of them. The Cubs have 2 of them. I totally get it, but that means probably it should be on the cover of the biggest sports website in the country, but it's not. So that's kind of a problem for baseball. The Harrison future, we'll get into that conversation because I was reading, I don't know how he missed this. Andrew Baggerly had a piece on his roster. I think there was another piece in The Athletic, which clicked me over to that. And there's a lot of talk about Kyle Harrison not being on this team, Kyle Harrison being a bullpen piece. When I say not being on this team, I'm just saying like AAA maybe, or maybe all of a sudden, and I've said this the whole time in Kyle Harrison's career, I just thought because he had a limited amount of pitches that he throws that maybe he would be best as a reliever. And it was scary early in spring training, up until recently, he was throwing in the low 90s. At least he was hitting 94, 95. But I'm not sure with the way that Birdsong is throwing, the first 3 in the rotation are set. So we get into that a little bit later as well. Random, and I told you I owed you a caboose, so I do owe you a caboose. In fact, I got to add that. I didn't add that of everything that I did. So anyway, good morning, good morning. That is what's going on today. That is the chalkboard. We'll stick to it best we can. If you are new around here, we do a roll call, and we love you to be a part of the roll call. All you got to do is say good morning. It is that simple. Everyone in this community wants to embrace you, so say good morning. Say I'm new. Say it's cool. Like, I understand. I moved a lot growing up, and so you got to, you're the new kid at school, and you're like, hey, good morning. We've got a new student, kids. His name is John, and you're like, I don't want to be center of attention. And so I get it, but just say hello. Say good morning. I'd love to have you part of the roll call. Baba Booey is here. He started up at 3:05. Did you watch baseball? You had to have been watching baseball at 3:05 in the morning. Hey now, good morning to Jeff. It is great to talk to you. Skeels, who was in with Larry last night. There you go. Skaters on baseball. Let's hear some good news on 𝐬𝐿 Lee and pour a second fresh pot. Yeah, that's 𝐬𝐿 Lee, man. I'm a little nervous about that, but we gotta make sure that he is okay. That is not great news, as I tell you all the time. And this further illustrates it. I don't care what anybody does. I like that Verlander's having a great spring. I like that Robbie Ray looks good. I like the top 3 in the rotation, all the whatever, blah, blah, blah. The guy gets hurt. It's like, what? Huh? What? And I'm not saying 𝐬𝐿 Lee is hurt. It's just he's got some issues with his back, and that is not great because what are you doing in center field? Grant McCray? I mean, doesn't get me excited. But anyway, we will discuss. People are already talking fantasy baseball. Very nice. Dude, if you're going against the Tawny, I feel bad for you. I'm down 7-0. I couldn't do fantasy baseball. I like doing fantasy football, and I only do one, which is a bunch of old buddies of mine, and it's a fairly expensive league, so that it kind of hurts one way or the other. But that's it. I can't do the 5, 6, 7. Like my kid does like 5 football leagues. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't track all that. Baseball, I tried one time. It was just too much. You had to update your lineup every day. It became part of your life, and it was like I don't want fantasy baseball to be part of my life. Like I just want to have fun with it. So it was a lot of work. I even did fantasy hockey one time because I moved to Detroit, and I was like, I got to know hockey more. So I was just like hockey head. So there's that. By the way, I just got lost. I need to say hello to everybody. John Holmes is here. Ernesto Ron is here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Vernon, hello. Vernon, hello. Kyle, good to see you now. Very nice to see you. I think I saw you with Krug last night. It was very nice to see you. Jesus, I believe, was there as well. Jake, good morning to you. Luna, Tobin, good morning. Episode Eric Armstead. Where am I at? What are we talking about? Jazz fan is here today. Christopher, and very nice to see you this morning, my friend. Lindbergh is here. Bucko Sports, good morning. And we got a lot of people in today. Wonderful. We're adding people left and right as well. It is very cool to see that. Colin, good morning. I think I might have seen you before, but if I hadn't, welcome and good morning to Colin. Everybody say hello. Good to see you, Lost Crew, the 1-4-20. Very nice to see you. I haven't caught up with Tulsa King. A lot of people are watching Tulsa King. I started watching it, and they have that 420 sign in the weed joint that they have there. Just started watching that. Pretty fun. I mean, we're only like 3 episodes in, so I don't know. Raj 209, 49 Raj 209. Hello, good morning. If I missed you, believe me, during the day. Joy, hello, Joy. JJ Raider. So if I missed you today, Eric Cortez. Good morning from Oregon. Very nice. Where in Oregon are you, my friend? Love to have you. By the way, I have a friend named Eric, and he spells it E-R-I-K, just like that. Very nice. Good to see everybody. And like I said, if I don't want to be redundant, but Colin, if I have not seen you, please, everyone, welcome him. It is a great community that we have. So good morning. One thing before I get to the chalkboard, and this isn't on the chalkboard, and maybe my wife is watching, maybe she's not. She's getting really mad at me. She'll bust right in here. I'm going to shame her. That's from this morning. It was 1 cup of coffee that was in this bag. As I was making coffee, before I came out here, and a great batch of coffee today. Good morning. Great batch of coffee, amazing batch of coffee this morning. And I'm making it, and all of a sudden there's this knock on the door. Nobody's out there but me in the kitchen. That's not very loud. That's not very good. I thought that was going to be better. But anyway, and then, they walk off, and my wife kind of comes out from the bedroom, and I look at her, and we both know what's going on. She's got coffee. And she's like, well, I didn't know if you're going to make coffee because yesterday, and I think I might have been running late yesterday. I don't know what the case may be, but 9 days out of 10, I'm going to make coffee. And she went Starbucks, which if it's delivered Starbucks too, you're probably looking at $10 for that cup of coffee. And I'm like, come on, man. So anyway, I'm shaming her. And if she doesn't come firing in here, then she's not watching. That's great. That's fine. But this thing, the greatness of this show versus radio, and then part of the negative is that this lives forever. We tell advertisers that, like, you advertise on radio. That's it, man. One advertisement, I do a read for you, it's over. This thing lives forever. People come back, they listen, they watch. Like, it lives forever. So if my wife comes back, she can go back to the beginning just like you can at any point if you miss anything. And she could get me, but I don't care. I'm shaming her. $10 for a cup of coffee. We got a coffee maker. In fact, we have a coffee maker, and then separately, because I bought this I've tried to buy her like 3 or 4 different coffee makers, and none of them suffice. This one's close, but this one has a coffee maker and a nice espresso machine, and I think it's operator error, but she absolutely thinks it's not. Disputes that notion. So what it can do is it does coffee, and then then it'll do a nice little espresso. And she is such a fiend for caffeine that she needs the coffee and the espresso, pours the espresso in the coffee, and then does all the stuff she does to the coffee. And she doesn't like the way the espresso maker works. So we have an other espresso maker, which we've had for a long time, and she pulls that thing down. So it's a whole deal to make her coffee, and she's got to have the espresso and the thing. It's just a whole deal. So I'd even pulled that thing down, like it was ready to go. I was ready to go. And then all of a sudden I look, and she's walking towards the door after the knock, and she's like giving me that look like, I know you busted me. Because she figured I'd be out here by now. Because she thinks, she doesn't want to get busted for it. She wants to just, drink her cup of coffee and like throw it in the outside garbage. Like I didn't, nothing happened, but I caught her red-handed. Rockin' New Era. Good to see you, man. Good morning. Good morning. Eastern Oregon. Okay. Across Walla, Washington, where Drew Bledsoe's from. Very familiar with it. For a short period of time, I lived in the Tri-Cities. My dad had a company there, and I am familiar with Eastern Oregon. I know about Walla Walla Sweet Onions. I know of Drew Bledsoe's winery. So, yes, I know exactly where you are. Absolutely, positively. Welcome. Eric Cortez with the K. So very cool. All right, let's get to everything. Dom Peralta, it is very nice to see you. Awesome. Very cool that we have everybody in here today. I do want to tell you this really, really quickly, as I always do. My good friend, Dr. 𝐟𝐸apel, is the fine sponsor of the program today. 𝐟𝐸apel Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. I told you this. In fact, I'm going over there today to 𝐟𝐸apel. And I am having the stem cell. I'm not having that today, but the stem cell treatment is absolutely awesome. If you have low T like I do, they do a quick blood test on you. You're feeling irritable. You're feeling tired. You're not feeling like yourself. Getting a little bit older. It's harder to lose weight. All those things that's low T. I mean, that's what it probably is. I'm not a doctor, as you can tell. Open up and say, I am not a doctor. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. All I'm simply saying is, in my experience, it was low T. All those things were low T as I was getting older. And so what I do is I go in there maybe it's about 4 months it lasts. Quick procedure, very easy, very simple. And you're done. You feel great. I mean, literally within 3 or 4 days, you're feeling great. Much better. It's very reasonable. It's not the cost. The cost is probably not what you think. I mean, it's absolutely and 100% worth it. So if you click on that right now, that QR code, it's going to take you straight to the 𝐟𝐸apel website, and you'll be able to make an appointment or find out more information. And as I've told you, my wife, she is doing stem cell. In fact, I'll let you tell you for herself how well the stem cell is working.
And I recently did PRP stem cell with Dr. 𝐟𝐸apel, and I am someone who's been in chronic pain for about 25 years. And he recently just did my left elbow and left shoulder. My shoulder is amazing. I'm down to 0 in pain. My left elbow's gone from about a 9 to a 2, and this has only been a month, so I'm extremely excited. I'm actually coming back to do my right foot next week. It's worked so well. So highly recommend him. Very precise and caring. So it's been great.
All right. So there is my wife, Lainey, who, as I told you, ordered coffee this morning, one coffee, probably $10. But she's doing the stem cell, which is if you got the pain, and she's talking about her elbow, her shoulder, all sorts of different places. She's doing her foot next week, but all sorts of different places, and you'll feel amazing with the new stem cell. So check it out. 𝐟𝐸apel right there. If you hit that QR code, you can make an appointment. And of course, they do all the things that you would expect out of a cosmetic surgery surgeon and laser center. They are a company that we have worked with, my wife and I, for years. And so we really trust them. And that's the big thing with that type of a situation, is not only what I just talked about, but all the different things that they can do for you to make you feel better, look better. 𝐟𝐸apel Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center. Check out my friends as the fine sponsor of the program. All right, let's talk about the Warriors. Let's lead Warriors, just because as I popped that up there last night. And by the way, in that right-hand corner, if you did not know that, your left, my right, however you're watching the show, that's Jed. And Jed York brought his kids to the Warriors game. I do wonder, as I see that picture in the right-hand corner, what the reaction was, because people are always, we're venomous behind people's backs. Like, Fiverr's on here. Fiverr was probably real nice to him. Shook his hand and said hello, and we're nice to his kids. I mean, you're not going to do that in front of his kids, right? Like scream and yell at him. Probably not. Most people are like behind the scenes. They're really angry. That's why Twitter, everybody's got Twitter fingers, and then they get in front of somebody and it's like, it's okay. We're not going to get mad. But anyway, let's start with some Warriors. That was a bad loss last night. There's no two ways to put it. In fact, let me pop up the box score here as they lose last night against Denver. And if that had been, and it was really disappointing to pop on the TV and be like, oh man, nobody's playing tonight. Like, you've got no Jokic, you've got no Murray. And I understand why they did it. Denver's like, we're sitting in the 2, we're sitting in 3, and we're not going to show these guys anything. Why would we do that? The Warriors, on the other hand, have Minnesota breathing down their neck. They don't want to play in the play-in. Minnesota was lucky enough that Indiana gets a shot at the end and they knock off Minnesota, or we'd be talking about a tie in the 6 and 7 spot. So last night was all about Aaron Gordon, the Bay Area product, in 37 minutes, as you can see there, 4 of 6 from 3. He's really improved his three-point shooting. Was not a great three-point shooter when he started, but 14 of 23, 38 points. And as much as that, the Warriors just made a ton of mistakes down the stretch. I was sitting there watching the game with my wife, and we're sitting there going, they'll come back, they'll come back, they'll come back. And the reason I thought that was because you can play for X amount of minutes without those stars, short period of time. But when it comes down to crunch time in the final 5 minutes, Aaron Gordon's a really nice player. Michael Porter's a really nice player, but everything goes through Jokic. Everything goes through Murray. And so those guys are sitting around going, okay, usually we're third, fourth, fifth options, and now we've got to take the game over. And to an extent they did, but it was just the Warriors just making dumb plays. I mean, that was there's teams that they both count the same in the standings, but we often will split hairs when we talk about games, and we'll say who won the game, who lost the game. The Warriors lost the game. And I know that's obvious, but stay with me for a second here. A team can either win the game, like Denver just took it over and won, or a team can lose the game because they just were so boneheaded. And that's really what happened with the Warriors last night. Steve Kerr said afterwards that Steph Curry was exhausted. He was 6 of 21, 4 of 14, and for 20 points. He can't carry you every single night. He's 37 freaking years old. So as we come in here some days and say, oh, my God, what he's doing at 37, it's still amazing when he has a night like that. But you can't ask him to carry you every single night. And Butler was just okay. Kuminga was just okay. Nobody else really stepped up huge, as you can see there. I mean, 18, you don't often see that from GP2. But so he stepped up 8 of 10, hit a couple of threes, which was nice, not usual for him. So he stepped up for 18, but they didn't get a ton of help. Kuminga just okay. Jimmy Butler at times, took over the game a bit. But if I'm going to call Jimmy Butler a superstar, which I have, and Steve Kerr has since he's been a member of the Warriors, then if you're – and Jimmy Butler did say this after the game, that we got to protect Steph and he can't carry us all the time. But if you're Jimmy Butler and you see that Steph is struggling on a given night and you can't lose that game to Denver without Jokic and Murray, and I know Brown didn't play, but really it's Jokic and Murray, and Jokic is on the side there, as stoic as he always is, then Jimmy Butler's got to do what Aaron Gordon did for Denver. He's got to go off for like his, 33, 35, whatever, and say, okay, I get it. Steph doesn't have it tonight. I got to step up, and 23 is a normal game for Jimmy, but he needs to look at the situation and say, okay, I got to get to the free throw line a few more times. And that's really the two places where the game was won. Very simple. And it's not usually this simple, but Denver, especially at times, was just hitting the three ball. So 14-8 goes 6 times 3. So they were +6 in the threes, but times that by 3, and that's 18 points. And then you go to free throws. The Warriors inexplicably were 15 of 27 from the free throw line. Jimmy just 6 of 10. Kuminga just hit 5 of 8. So they missed a bunch of free throws and a bunch of free opportunities. 15 of 27 from the free throw line for a nice 55.6%. So if you look at those two things, missing 12 free throws, -6 on three-pointers, which is 18 total points. And I think it's one of those things, too, where you go onto the court and you say, oh, okay, no Jokic, no Murray, we got this. They're human beings, and so it's a mental game that they're playing. So that's essentially what happened last night. They lose 114-105, and it's a big loss because you know what's coming. I'm obsessed with the bracket. You know that. I'm obsessed with the every day checking the bracket and checking the standing. So I did that, of course, as I always do. So there's your bracket. That hasn't changed. So they are still the 6-3 versus the Nuggets. And what is that, 9 in a row for the Nuggets? If there's one team you don't want to see in the first round of the NBA playoffs that can end this thing quickly, we love Jimmy, and look at Steph at 37, and Kuminga's coming back. Oh, no. They look great. Oh, it's Denver. Like, that's going to short circuit your season. They're not going to beat Denver in the first round. I mean, I'm saying that after a game in which Murray and Jokic didn't play on your home court. So I'm not going out on much of a limb here, but it's 9 in a row. And what I'm talking about mentally is where the Lakers are, say, in that 4-5 matchup against the Grizzlies. That's a young team. They have the mental advantage in that game. Maybe against Oklahoma City, they have the mental advantage because they've won championships. Luka's been to finals. LeBron's obviously won titles. They've got that mental edge over those young teams. Denver right now doesn't believe they're going to lose to the Warriors in any way, shape, or form on any court, no matter who's playing and who isn't. That's why it was big. And I said yesterday, there is no mental warfare in these games in the regular season. Well, if you go into another team's building without Jokic, without Murray, and you come out with a 9-point win, your confidence is skyrocketing, and you've won 9 in a row. And the Warriors had everybody. Well, they didn't have Podziemski, but still, you got to win that game. And I think, like me and like you, they were kind of just sitting there going, okay, who's going to step up? Let's go. We're within 6 here. They had been going uphill the entire game. But when they pulled it to double digits and started rocking, and Steph never just got into one of those things where he'd hit 2 or 3 in a row, and all of a sudden it was like, because I kept telling my wife within 6, I'm like, that's 2 Steph threes. That's a Steph 3, a stop, and a Steph 3, and the game's tied, and the place is going to be going bananas, and they don't have anybody to look to, and Jokic and Murray aren't out there. And so, they're going to win the game, and they just kept making dumb move after dumb play after dumb move after dumb play, and they lost the game more than Denver won the game. Again, it's semantics on splitting hairs, but my God. That's a game you have to have last night, especially given the fact that Minnesota lost, and you could have distanced yourself 2 in the loss column from Minnesota with now 14 games to play. And if we go from the bracket, which I love so much, to the standings, you can see here with Houston was down 25 to Philadelphia, and they end up winning that game. So they're still at 25. Now you're 4 back with 14 to Houston. Again, you could do it, but it's going to be really difficult. The Grizzlies lose, so you could have gotten a little bit of space up on them, but you don't. So now you're still 3 back instead of 2 back. The Lakers and Nuggets still at 25 losses, and then you sit there with the Timberwolves, and you get lucky because the Timberwolves lose last night in the game they should have won, and you should actually be tied in the loss column with them. And if they had won, they'd have been 41-29, so they'd have been ahead of you. So that's a problem. It's a major problem that the Warriors lose last night in a game in which Jokic and Murray don't play. And for a veteran team, because this is the only way that I can describe it, for a veteran team to walk into their own building, not see that Jokic and Murray are out at this point of the season and say, and kind of let down, which is what they did, just let down last night, is inexplicable to me. And I understand it because I heard Steve Kerr in the postgame, and I get it. Steph's hurt, Steph's back, he's exhausted. And I'm sorry to get off my lawn guy, but that was just never an excuse. Like I said, when I was covering the Utah Jazz, and if I ever suggested to Jerry Sloan that someone was tired, especially given the fact that Stockton Malone played in every single game and played 40 minutes a night, I think he would slap me. But of course, I was smart enough never to do that. I never brought up to Jerry Sloan, hey, you think these guys are tired? Like, I'd heard people do that to him after practices. And, do you think Stockton Malone are tired? We're 75 games into the season. Are they tired? Or we're in the playoffs. Are they tired? He would look at you like you were an alien and you just came out from left field. It was like, what does that matter? What does it matter if they're tired? This is what they get paid to do. And that's the whole point of the gauntlet is, can you play X amount of games, X amount of minutes, and then play through the playoffs? But what the league has been doing is, we're going to pull guys back. And what Denver did last night was very simple, what they did. And people have talked about like Dallas getting fined. Look, the Denver didn't want to show the Warriors anything. They're looking at the matchup going, okay, we're 3-6. We're fine where we're sitting. Denver's like, we're fine where we're sitting. If we go down to 5, if we go whatever, we're fine. We're the Denver Nuggets. We have a lot of confidence. We're fine. So we're not going to play Jokic. We're not going to play Murray just in case we see the Warriors in the playoffs. Whereas the Warriors are sitting at the 6 going, we got to play everybody that we can because we got to stay out of the 7 in Minnesota. So not only did they accomplish not showing the Warriors anything, which the Warriors know, but still they don't want to show them this close to the playoffs anything. And then they turn around and gain the confidence, the 9th win in a row against you on your home court with their 2 best players out. So I said there was no psychological warfare yesterday. I think I lied. Because I'm sitting there going, my God, if they can't beat them at home with those guys in a desperate situation with Minnesota breathing down their neck, when can they beat them? I'm like, oh my God, that is not good. So anyway, there's that. Give me your thoughts. One more quick thing, and then I'll jump out to the text to get your thoughts on the Warriors. And again, we will do a ton, as you can see. Let me pull this off the board. I'm sitting there talking. I forgot. Got to pull this thing off the board here. Do I still have that up? Yeah, I do. Let me get this off the board here, just because I'm sitting there yip-yapping and you can't even see me here because I'm just sitting there talking, and I'm talking about all sorts of different stuff. So let me just get this off the board. Hang on one second here. Got to get this thing off. I don't know why it's not going off my board. Hang on one second. That's weird. Let's see, where is it? There it is. There it is. Okay, we're back. Getting that. I just wanted to get that off the board there. But anyway, there's what happened last night. A couple more things, and then we will get into some. There's a ton to go with the 49ers. There's a ton to go on the Giants, the story that they're selling some of the teams. So I want to get to that too. But where we are in the board, episode 91, Dubs lost to shorthanded Denver. Bad loss. Why? I just told you that. Let me give you some good news when it comes to the Warriors. We do have a bit of a love fest with Jimmy Butler, and I understand why, and we should. He had 23 last night. I'm not ripping Jimmy for that loss, but if you're the leader of the team and Steph Curry's hurting, you got to do what Aaron Gordon did last night. That's what I expect out of a superstar player. And I got into the habit of calling Jimmy Butler a superstar because Steve Kerr did, and the superstar last night would have stepped up in that way. So I criticize him a little bit. But there would be no Jimmy Butler if the Warriors had their way in the offseason because they would have gotten Paul George. And the Clippers said, we don't want to deal with you. So Paul George, as you can see right there, injections in his left adductor muscle and left knee on Monday has been ruled out the rest of the season. He's expected to be out at least 6 weeks. He's been a disaster. A lot of times with athletes, and you know this, there's no gradual decline. There's just like, when it just blows up in your face. And that's been Paul George. He's been atrocious. Joel Embiid has been hurt. It's been a terrible season for Philadelphia. And they gave Paul George $211 million guaranteed. So that's guaranteed money. He's getting every dime of that money. It's a long-term contract. Philly thought that he would be the answer. And at the age of 30, what is he, 34, 35? He just absolutely has fallen off. And he's had a lot of injuries in his time with the Clippers too. But the Warriors were so desperate that they were willing to overlook all those things to try to bring in Paul George. They were going to give him a big contract extension. And the Clippers said, we don't want to work with you. Thank God for that. As we talk about all the time, some of the moves that you make, some of the best moves you make are the moves you do not make. And Paul George had a horrible season. Paul George is now out for the season. His future is in doubt. And whatever, regardless, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have to pay that contract. So you would have added Paul George to the old guy list of Steph and Draymond, who have held up quite well, thank you very much. But all of a sudden, you've got a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler, and I'm not saying Butler is what he was at his height, but he's still pretty damn good. And Paul George is terrible. And you'd be in a situation where Joe Lacob's sitting there going, like, kind of like the Niners right now, like, how do I get rid of this? And I've told you this time and time again, I do believe this. And not only do I believe it, I've heard it. And you saw it, Steph Curry during the season when they were sitting around the 10 spot and just sitting there spinning their wheels. Steph was like, I don't want to be on a mediocre team. I don't, this and that. And he was upset. And you never see Steph upset. He's always got a smile on his face. I believe Steph Curry was going to ask for a trade in the offseason. He was going to be diplomatic as you could be, but he wasn't going to be on a team that was going to be treading water at 10. And had they signed Paul George, that's exactly what they would do. So the difference between the Warriors being a contender potentially in the next couple of years with Jimmy Butler aboard, and this Kuminga thing is really interesting. I saw something on Kuminga this morning that I want to get into for a minute too. But all of a sudden, despite last night, and it was a bad loss, there's no question, but it doesn't alter to me the trajectory of what I think the team can be, which is a title contender. And I've said this, so 2 days later, I'm not going to say they're not a title contender because they lost at home to Denver without Jokic and Murray, which is a terrible loss. But I'm not going to sit there and change like the wind on that. But for the next 2 years, this barring injury, and Steph's got a back issue right now, apparently, but barring injury, this team could contend the next couple of years. Paul George is on your team. You're trading Steph Curry in the offseason. You're probably trading Draymond Green in the offseason because why do you need a championship glue piece like him if you're not going to win a championship or be in contention? And he would probably want out. So Steph's out, Dre's out, Paul George is sitting around limping, and you're forced to sign Jonathan Kuminga, even if maybe you want to, maybe you don't, but you're probably forced to sign Jonathan Kuminga as a building block, which he would be misplaced to be, but for $200+ million, and that's your team moving forward. That on one decision. And thank you, Steve Ballmer, or whomever made that decision for the Clippers. We don't want to work with the Warriors. We ain't doing that. All right. Send them to Philadelphia. Whoo! Crisis averted. Bullet. You just barely missed it. Because if you had Paul George right now, oh my God, this would be totally different. I mean, that's how big of a deal it would be. Steph would likely be gone in the offseason. Dre would likely be gone in the offseason. They blow this whole thing up. 10 years from now, we'd have a last dance kind of a thing, and we'd learn everything and everything and everything. But they get Jimmy Butler, they give him the extension, and sometimes it's just luck. That's not skill. The Warriors' first choice was not Jimmy Butler. In fact, Jimmy Butler was their choice not in the offseason. It wasn't even a discussion point. It was all about Paul George or Lauri Markkanen, who hasn't had a good year in Utah. And then during the season, it was more Durant. And then Durant said, I don't want to go back to Golden State. And then they settled for Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler was their second choice at least during the season. And he wasn't even a discussion point in the offseason. It was Paul George. And in both situations, I'm not saying you ended up with a better player in terms of Durant versus Butler, but he certainly fit in. And until they have some adversity, and this is a minor bit of adversity, I would say this. If they lose tonight, if Steph can't play tonight, which is highly unlikely he will now, if Steph doesn't play tonight because they just said he has a back issue and he's exhausted, so I would expect he wouldn't play tonight. So if they lose to the Bucks after losing to the Nuggets and let's say they fall into that 7 spot, then you're going to start seeing something because that's adversity. Up to this point, it's been kumbaya. Everybody loves Jimmy. Jimmy loves everybody. Everybody's happy. They're winning. Well, they 13-1 before last night when Jimmy was in the lineup. So yeah, it's an issue. All of a sudden there's adversity. How do you handle adversity with Jimmy Butler? Because he's smiling, he's this nice guy. Well, there's Miami Jimmy is in there somewhere, and I don't mean the Miami Jimmy that led them to the NBA Finals. I'm talking Miami Jimmy who acted like a child to get traded out of Miami. Like that guy's in there. And I'm not being negative. I'm just simply saying that when they hit adversity, what's Jimmy going to be like? Because Jimmy Miami wasn't great at the end. Now, I give him the benefit of the doubt. He looks good so far. But anyway, that's where we are. So Paul George, and I'm going to get into mock mania in a minute, and the Niners and everything else. So Dubs lose to shorthanded Denver. Bad loss, I told you why. You averted all sorts of issues as far as Paul George is concerned. So that's what's going on as far as the Warriors. I showed you the brackets, which is still 3-6 against the Nuggets. I showed you standings. Because Minnesota lost last night to Indiana, they're not in the 7-0. Anybody want to discuss Warriors before I move on to a lot of Niners stuff? So what's the bad news? No, the thing is, the news really isn't bad. I mean, it's a bad loss last night, but it's not like in the NFL where you have 17 of these things, and when you lose a game like that, it can cost you your season. literally one game near the end of the season like that can cost you your season. They're fine. Even if they lose tonight to Milwaukee, they're fine. They just need to get themselves into the 6th spot. But there's no way around it last night, and I can't sugarcoat it in any way, shape, or form. That's a bad loss. Jokic is over there in street clothes. I don't think Murray was even in the building. And you're in the 4th quarter. You got it down to 6 points. Aaron Gordon is their go-to guy, and I give Aaron Gordon a ton of credit. He could have hit a couple of big threes down the stretch, but still, that's not the role that normally Aaron Gordon is in. It's not the role normally that Michael Porter Jr. is in. That is the role that Jimmy's in all the time, that Steph's in all the time. And I don't want to hear about tired. I don't want to hear about tired, man. It's just a bad excuse. And I love Steve Kerr, and I love Steph Curry, but tired is a bad excuse. You can't use it at your work. What if you walked in one day and you just screwed everything up and you went to your boss and you go, boss, I'm sorry, man. I'm just tired. Yeah, that's great. You're still fired. You know, boss, I'm just tired today. Just tired. Like, everyone's tired, bro. Sorry. You know, and I feel for Steph Curry, and I get it. And you got those things on nowadays, but I covered the league for a lot of years. And if you said tired to a coach, or if you said tired to a player, get out. Like, it's just, sorry. It's just part of the game. That's part of the whole thing. So, look, this is not a negative thing. This is just a fact of what happened last night. And I'm not saying you can't lose those games, because there's been teams that lose games all the time they shouldn't lose, and they go back and they have a ton of success. So I'm not sitting here saying that this is going to alter the season. I'm saying, as we sit here on March 18th, that's a bad loss. Now, could they make it up? Sure. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Bro, I feel bad for you on the commute, because I was commuting so long. Yeah, and I would go into the city every single day for the game. I got a great Thurl Bailey story for you. I'm glad you said that, John Holmes. Did you ever get a signed pair of the Thurl Bailey goggles? Great third option. I did not. 7th overall pick of the 83 draft, straight out of North Carolina State, and Jim Valvano's team that beat Houston. But I will say this. One of my first jobs ever, I was working in a grocery store in Salt Lake City. It was called Smith's. That was the big grocery store. And Thurl Bailey had this deep voice, just the greatest voice you could ever hear. And he called our store when we were closing. He lived right around the corner. We'd see him all the time, but he would get mauled, because it was like, he was 1983, Stockton was 84, and Malone was 85. That was 3 drafts in a row. You wonder why the Jazz were good in that time. They went Bailey, Stockton, Malone. 83, 84, 85. So anyway, they're getting pretty popular at that point. And he called our grocery store and he said, hey, this Big T, Thurl Bailey, which I think he does their TV analyst work now. It's the nicest guy ever. And he says, I want to come into the grocery store and shop. And so he was the only guy in there. And I just, of course I did the Chris Farley thing, because I was in there like stocking shelves, at night. So I just follow him around. Hey, remember that one game? And he's like, bro, like, this is the whole reason I'm here, is so that I don't have to talk to guys like you. And he didn't say that directly to me, but he basically just said, like, leave me alone. Because I did. I just walked around. I was like, he's in the frozen food section and he's pulling stuff out and everything like that. And I'm like, hey, remember that one time? And he's like trying to get peas. He's trying to get like frozen peas. And finally, he didn't say it, but I think like he told some manager or something, like, dude, the whole reason I'm here is like, I don't want to be bothered by jackasses like this guy. Like, I don't want fandom. I just want to shop in peace. So that's what he did. And like my manager came up to me and goes like, you should be working and leaving this guy alone. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. So yeah, that's what I did. I was totally like, hey. Yeah, Lorenzo Charles. Absolutely. Derek Wittenberg the shot, Lorenzo Charles with the dunk. And that was amazing. In the pit in New Mexico, by the way. Yeah, look, you can use tired as an excuse. It's just that the fans are just going to buy it. And even if you're Steph Curry, and Steph Curry didn't say it, Steve Kerr said it. But I don't care. Like, you and I talk about this all the time, and many things that we discuss on the show, and things, things that are philosophies of mine. There are excuses and explanations. Tired is an excuse. Tired is not an explanation. Tired is an excuse. That's just what it is. Come on, you're losing to Denver without Jokic and Murray. And I'm not making today about being a negative. It's not. That's a bad loss. Can they overcome it? Absolutely, positively. Yeah, there's no question. Now, is tonight maybe a loss if you don't have Steph Curry? Yeah. But see, the difference is, and Fitz actually said this during the game, and he was right. For a short period of time, when you know ahead of time that someone's not going to play and you're playing for that team, it's like, okay, I know what I need to do tonight. I fully expect Jimmy Butler, for example, to be alpha male 1 on this team go out and score, 35 and expect other guys to step up in the proper way as well. If Steph Curry's not going to play tonight, it's like, okay, we know he's not going to play. Are they better without Steph Curry? Hell no, they're not better. But it doesn't mean that these guys for a game can't just get together and say, all right, we got this. Steph Curry's out. Everybody step up your game. Let's go. Better defense, tighter, the BS turnovers that we saw last night. Like, come on. Because that's what tends to happen. You have Steph on the team, everybody gets loose. Steph's gone, everybody tightens up. They're going to have less turnovers tonight. They're going to play better defense. There's things they can do, as weird as this sounds, to make it at times an advantage without him. And I know that's the nutty thing to say, but what I'm saying is, like, defensively, you can put better defensive teams on the floor. Not offensively you can't, but defensively you can tighten up. Offensively you can say no stupid turnovers tonight, Draymond Green. That's the way it's got to be. Step out of turnovers and things like that. That's going to happen during a year. I'm not going to criticize Steph for it. It happens. But what you can do is say, okay, guys, we got to have an ass-kicking job defensively tonight. No issues. Can't turn the ball over. All those things that they get loose because they know they have the Steph Curry effect, they just can't do that tonight. They have to have a mentality of, we've got to play a much cleaner game than we played against Denver last night. And all of a sudden they beat Milwaukee and they have Giannis and everybody else, and you're scratching your head going, wait a minute, they lost to Denver with Curry. They beat Milwaukee without Curry. Huh? It's a mentality. And I agree with Tom. Kuminga didn't have it last night. There's times where the first game especially, he came back and everything slowed down and everything looked great. And last night he was back to forcing things at times. And I was like, man, just relax. Just everybody relax. So that's my thoughts on the Warriors last night. Not freaking out, just kind of factually saying that that's a bad loss. Doesn't mean they can't be fine. Yeah, Jokic always looks tired. Like, he's on the sidelines and he's just kind of hanging out. And what's funny is he's really, really funny behind the scenes. And yet everybody's like laughing or having a good time. Or, Gordon would hit a 3 last night. And Jokic just kind of, all right, like, I got this. He's a trip, man. But the bigger thing is it's all about me and you last night. Like, when I turned it on and those guys weren't playing, I'm like, I just love watching Jokic play. And I know it was better for the Warriors that he didn't play. Ultimately, it wasn't. But it's so fun to watch him play. He's so different than anybody right now. And so, like, it's kind of like what other people feel about Steph Curry. I love watching Curry every night. I watch sports to be entertained. So I'm watching the game last night. And I'm like, it's cool to have Curry. But, man, even if it's not good for the Warriors, I wanted Jokic to play. I want to watch him. I want to watch greatness. I mean, don't you feel the same kind of way? Like, I almost got up at 3. I don't get credit for this, but I almost got up at 3 a.m. today because I wanted to watch Ohtani, and then I did set an alarm, and I looked at it, and I go, am I insane? There are 162 of these games. I don't need to see every game. Like, I did set my alarm for 3:10 thinking, I'm going to watch the Cubs and the Dodgers. And then I was like, no, I'm not. Dodgers won 4-1, by the way. Shocking. And we will get a look at Sasaki tonight. He's going to pitch for the Dodgers in game number 2, so we'll see that. But anyway, all right, that's enough on the Warriors. Good to see Brock 408, man. Very nice to see you. They let their guard down for sure. Absolutely. I mean, that's the only way you can describe that, right? Last night, Brock, like, you walk in and you're like, oh, no Jokic. Whoo, no Murray. Whoo, we got this. Let's just throw our shoes. Let's just throw our Currys out there. We got it. Let's throw the shoes out there. We're good. Oh, we didn't win? What? You gotta be focused. And that's the way it is. So tonight, what's weird is I got a weird feeling there. That's what I mean, is you make it up. They'll be really focused tonight. Steph won't play. Jimmy will step up for like 35 and they'll win. Ooh, that's a good call right there, Jazz fan. Little Terry Gannon. He gets lost on that North Carolina State team. Number 1 broadcaster for ice skating. Yeah, that's good knowledge right there. Terry Gannon of the 83 NC State Wolfpack. I agree with you 100%, man. I mean, when Jokic is in, that 3-6 is ugly. Like, we're sitting there dancing around going, look at this. Amazing. They don't lose with Jimmy. This is awesome. They're going to go deep. Who do they have in the first round? Denver? Oh, like, that's their kryptonite. Denver right now is like, oh, geez. It's a short playoff push. Well, that was fun. All right, let's get to, and I said I wasn't going to be negative on this stuff. Did I have anything else regards to NBA? No, I don't. That's it. I gave you Paul George, all that stuff. All right, let's get to Mock Mania. This is what everybody loves. Mock Mania. And I got to believe, remember, what was it? Oh, it was NFL free agency day when X went down. And I don't know what the explanation for X. I thought maybe X would go down today because Mel Kiper's mock and Daniel Jeremiah's mock dropped on the same day. So clearly that's some sort of a thing. The NFL is king. And as I told you, baseball's got a problem because I went to ESPN.com this morning to check on the Dodgers Cubs score because I didn't get up at 3:10 in the morning. Who would? And not on the front cover was not Major League Baseball's opening day, which it literally is. It's not stateside. I get it. But it's Japan. It's the Dodgers. It's the Cubs, two of the highest profile teams in all of baseball. Shohei Ohtani got 2 hits. Yamamoto pitched well. Like, this is a big deal, right? Major League Baseball's trying to grow their game. They're over there. That's what they do. There's one more game today or tonight or whatever, however the timing works. And yet on the front cover is a big picture of Mel Kiper Jr. with his hair slicked back and all that kind of stuff. And there it is, Mel's mock. What, 3.0, 2.0? Which one was it? Is it still like that? Let me look. That's what they do. So the NFL is in the off season. Off season. Yeah, right there. Look, it's Mel. Look, right here. Let me see if I can get this on my camera. Look at that's their front cover. Right there. Not baseball. Right there. Off season. It's the NFL off season. That's the cover of the most visited website, sports website in our country. And it's not baseball. It's Mel Kiper. In fact, the first 2 stories are Mel. The third story is this. So you got to go past what they used to call them in the newspaper industry, the bottom fold. So you want to be on the top when they fold the newspaper down. So that's the third story. And you got to scroll down to get it. Because if you go to the absolute top, see the top? That's it. Like you got to scroll down. Kiper's post-free agency mock draft, why the 49ers could go in many directions at number 11. Look at that. And then half of Mel's big head, balding head there. And that's the big story. So baseball's like, wait a minute, we had our opening day. Football's like, sorry, man, Mel's mock draft dropped. So anyway, Mel's mock and Daniel Jeremiah's mock dropped on the same day. And I got to be honest with you, if this guy dropped to 11, if I was a 49ers fan, I'd probably be dancing the aisles. Because what this means, as I've told you, is this guy's going to be the left tackle of the future. He's going to be the right tackle of now. And 𝐼𝐸𝐾𝐽 is going to move over to left guard, which you may or may not like. But the Niners, I can tell you, like him better as a guard than a tackle. So this is the guy that Mel says, Armand Membou. Now, at the beginning of this whole process, I'd be like, what? But this guy, I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. But in case you missed it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know. Working to extend Brock Purdy. Yeah, we know. The offensive line in front of him will be a priority. And this is where I laugh. Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore, who cares? But Trent Williams, I do care. Going to be 37. Membou is my top-ranked tackle in the class, and I see him sliding into the right side where he started 30 games in college. Could also play guard at a high level early in his career, but then transitioned to left tackle down the road. Sorry. So that's what I see. If he's there. If this guy, and just to kind of give you a little bit of a background on this guy, not to go all Krug on you, but there is the NFL.com breakdown on this guy. 6'4", 322. Whatever on the hands and the arms, whatever. They say those are short arms. 4.91. Now, offensive linemen aren't going to run 40 yards down the field unless they're going to congratulate a running back for going 80 yards. Or they're going to chase a guy for an interception. So it's not overly relevant, the 40-yard dash. They tell you the 10-yard split, 1.74, which is elite for a guy like that. But what the combine does for you is it backs up the film. So if you have good film and then you get backed up by the athletic numbers, that's a great thing. What too many teams do is they look at mediocre film, and then they look at these numbers and they say, well, look at these great numbers. He has potential to be great. Membou has both. So this guy has great film, and then a 4.91 40 shows great athlete, 1.74 10-yard split, great athlete, 34-inch vertical at 6'4", 322, great athlete. And then he bench presses 31 times. So it's boom, 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 boom. Great athlete. Who he reminds you of from an athletic standpoint when he came out is Trent Williams. I'm not saying he's going to be Trent Williams. I'm simply saying that from an athletic standpoint, there's been a number of tackles who have come into the league, 2 that come to mind. And I'm not saying he's these guys because they're both Hall of Famers. Trent's going to be, and this guy already is. Walter Jones, who Seattle had on the left side, came out of Florida State a number of years ago. Incredible athlete when he came out. Now, he was about 6'4", 305, 310, so a little bit lighter. But he was a tremendous athlete. And this is kind of what this guy reminds you of, is that he's a really, really good athlete. So he's versatile, play tackle, play guard. I think what they would do with him next year, as I've said, is play him at right tackle, get him ready to move over to left tackle when Trent leaves, which is massive because you're giving Brock a ton of money. You just might want to protect him. I don't know. That's just me. And then, like I said, I think they like moving McKivitz inside. He's nasty. I think he'd be a better left guard than Aaron Banks. All of a sudden, you got Trent, you got McKivitz. You need a center. By the way, Garrett Bradbury is somebody that's been brought up. Bradbury's numbers are even worse than Brendel's numbers. So Bradbury, to me, not a guy that the Niners should pursue. The Niners aren't pursuing anybody but special teams players anyway, which we'll get into in a second. I've heard Seattle with his name, which is fine with me. He doesn't have good numbers at all. This Bradbury guy, he was a disappointment in Minnesota as a second-round pick. So don't love it. Don't love him. So if you're thinking that. But then your right guard is Pooney, who you like, and your right tackle is this guy. We talk often about socks and underwear. That's what offensive linemen are, but you just have to have them. And if you're picking at 11, and I'm not the Niners don't do that a lot. They don't go offensive lineman early. Chris Forrester, their offensive line coach, thinks he can shine that kind of stuff. But they will with a tackle if they're up that high. Remember, they took Mike McGlinchey at 9. This regime took Mike McGlinchey at 9. So if they're up that high, I think they would do it. And what it does is, in one fell swoop, they accomplish a few things. They accomplish fixing the offensive line now. Like I said, move McKivitz over to left guard to replace Banks. You'd like to have a center, but if you had to deal with Brendel, you've just got so many holes to fill. I'm not sure they can fill them all in one draft or in what's left with free agency. But you've got your left tackle of the future, which is massive. Your right tackle for now, which is an upgrade. You upgrade at left guard, I believe. So your entire offensive line upgrades, except for at the pivot, and I understand that. But they've improved a lot of places. Plus, now they have their left tackle of the future. So if Trent Williams leaves after this season, which I think he may, then you're good to go. And you don't have to scramble, because where do you not want to be? We just saw this in free agency. If you are desperate at a position, you're going to have to overpay. If you're going to have to overpay, it's probably going to blow up in your face. Hello, Hargrave. Hello, Ayuk. When you get desperate for players, you reach, you overpay, you regret. And that's what the 49ers have done. So in the natural process of things, pick this guy up. He's your right tackle. You've got your left guard then, and you've got your heir apparent to your left tackle. It makes a ton of sense. Now, if he's not here, if he's not there, I'm not going to reach for a guy. Will Campbell's a guy to LSU that a lot of people like. Those two guys, if one of those two guys were there at 11, that's what I would do. If they're not, if one of those two guys isn't there, then I think it's completely open. Now, what Daniel Jeremiah did, and I don't love this pick. So there's Mel's. If you just tuned in, there's Mel's pick, and I like it. I like this guy, Mbembu. And I just told you why. Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, which dropped today, the same day as Mel Kiper's. That's like putting a McDonald's and a Burger King across from each other, and like, they like to fight each other, right? Like, who's better? Burger King's terrible, but you get my idea. Gas stations do that. Like, we're going to be, I'm a cent cheaper. I'm a quarter of a cent cheaper. I'm a tenth of a cent cheaper. Like, they love being across from each other. So that's I think why they drop at the same day. Not that this is a bad player, but Jahdae Barron, who's a really nice, versatile defensive back. He can play corner. Of all the places that they need, I'm not saying they don't, but Renardo Green, I think, is going to be fine. Actually had a solid year as a second-round pick out of Florida State. And you signed Demo Lenore. Now you need a third corner. There's no question about it. It would be nice to pick up another corner so that you could have a 3 solid corner set, which is obviously what you need in the NFL right now. Barron, to me, really nice player. Take the best available player. I understand that. I certainly respect Daniel Jeremiah's opinion. He's very, very good at what he does. But corner's I don't want to call it a luxury need, but it almost is, because I want everything close to the line of scrimmage. Defensive tackle, edge rusher, offensive tackle, offensive guard. I'm not saying offensive guard at 11, but I want them to rework the trenches. And I like this guy, Barron. He's a big playmaker. I like him a lot, but I don't know that that's as pressing of a need. Now, if they think that's just the best player and we're sitting here saying that's the best player, that's fine. But as he says here, one of the most consistent players on tape among prospects in this year's class, and he can take the ball away. He'll be able to match up against some of the talented slot receivers in the division. They've got a slot in Demo Lenore. So is that redundant? What does he do? Because he's played safety, he's played slot, he's played outside, he's played everywhere, actually. And that's a nice chess piece to have. And maybe that's who they end up taking because they think he's the best player. I'm just saying I'd be much more excited if they went 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐞 way and got a big piece of beef who can be the right tackle, move a guy to left guard, and be the heir apparent of left tackle. That, to me, sounds a lot better. And I think you can get a guy, another corner. They got Renardo Green in the second round. They got Dima Lenore in the fifth round. Not saying that finding corners is easy, but the Niners seem to be able to have a knack for finding those type of players. And also, I think given, let's say that they need a guy for 1 year, Renardo Green needs to mature a little bit more. I think still, the way free agency works and guys are going to be released, I think you can find one of the guys still. As crazy as that sounds, I don't know you have to draft them because as we look at the draft and we're starting to look at this whole thing, D tackle, edge, offensive tackle, offensive guard, would be nice to have another corner, nice to have a free safety. You just put yourself in a position by trading Jordan Mason that you probably need another running back. Brandon Ayuk's not going to be available, and I know you got Demarcus Robinson, but at some point, probably in the mid-rounds, you got to go receiver. There's only 11 of these picks, and they keep going, we'll just draft that guy. We'll draft that guy. We'll draft this position. We'll draft that position. It's like, they almost need every position. So anyway, there's the mocks. Give me your thoughts on the mocks because everybody loves to talk about the mock drafts. It blows up the internet. And I've told you this before. I'd love to not click on a mock draft. I would love it just to go buy it. And it doesn't even matter whose it is. You know, my neighbor who's 8 years old does a mock draft. I got to click on it. Ugh, like crack. Like, I don't know what it is. Like those two were fine. And then I was looking this morning because in a second, I'll give you an update on what's going on with the 49ers. They signed another special teams player yesterday. It seems like all they're doing is signing special teams player, but the kicker remains. I digress. But it's like special teams. We'll get into that in just a second. But those are the mocks. But I was looking there on Pro Football Focus, and they had a mock from somebody I had never heard of this morning. And I had already consumed Mel's mock and DJ's mock, and I still had to click on that mock. And I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. And I don't even remember who he picked for the Niners, but I was like, well, it's a mock. I have to click on it clearly. What's wrong with me? Something is definitely wrong with me. So this is what's the update on the Niners. And I'm not going to get negative on this whole thing because I told you this. The guys they released, we've been through this, you and I, but let's just do it again. Debo, to me, washed. Jordan Mason, not happy. 𝐬𝐲𝐫𝐿, I wrote a piece at LundUnleashed.com. I know why they brought him back, but it's not for the right reasons. Hargrave, I have no issue with. Collins stunk last year. Floyd stunk last year. Pepper, I don't know enough about the long snapper. All right, you brought in another one. Fine. It's not the guys they lost, and we can go through the bigger names, other than Dre Greenlaw, which I'm going to get to in a second, because Adam Schefter had something to say in Denver yesterday. But, Hufanga hasn't been good since 22. Mitchell hasn't been good since 21, 22, when he had 963 yards. He's been largely irrelevant. A lot of big names walked out of the building. I have no issue with most of them outside of Greenlaw, which, like I said, I'll get into in a minute. If you want to sign Luke Farrell, who's a blocking tight end only, again, LundUnleashed.com, you can look at that, who had 12 catches last year for 67 yards and is yet to score a touchdown in his career going into his fifth year. He is a blocker. I have no issue with that, but he was supposed to replace 𝐽𝐻𝐫𝐿, which is not happening. Demarcus Robinson, I get it. Mac Jones, I get it. Weeks, okay, whatever. But then we get into these guys that are all special teamers, and I get it. Their special teams sucked last year, in large part because of the kicker who's still around, but go with me on this. All right, Siran Neal, 2 years. Good special teamer. Richie Grant, they liked him coming out. I know that. Special teamer has been terrible in the base for Atlanta. Luke Gifford, linebacker, special teamer. Jason Pinnock, they're going to give him a chance to be in the regular defense, but he's a special teamer. They re-signed Patrick Taylor. He's a third to fourth running back, special teamer. Trey Brown, hurt a lot in Seattle, going to be a fourth or a fifth corner, which means he has to play special teams. So it's like, I get it. Special teams. I understand. But every single day, it's another special teamer. And the guy who really needs to replace, who screwed up special teams the worst last year, is your kicker, and he remains. And hopefully there'll be some competition for him in training camp. But anyway, that's a lot of special teamers. That's all I'm saying. A lot of special teamers. Weeks, Neal, Grant, Gifford, Pinnock. Like I said, Taylor, if he makes the team, is a fourth or a fifth back, so he's going to have to play teams. Trey Brown's a fourth corner. He's going to have, maybe, if he's healthy, which he never is, he's going to have to play special teams. So it's not so much the guys they lost. I've told you that time and time and time again. A lot of names there, not a lot of production. But as far as the guys they were replacing him with, we have enough special teamers. The Niners have enough special teamers. Can we just say no more special teamers? Like that's I don't know how many you need, but that's enough. Like that's enough because like Luke Farrell's a blocking third tight end type. He's going to play special teams too. DeMarcus Robinson, when Ayuk comes back, he's going to be like a fourth or a fifth wide receiver. Those guys have to play special teams. Like you have special teams. The only guy they've signed who's not going to play any special teams is like Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones is playing special teams. Outside of that, every guy they've signed is probably going to play special teams in some way, shape, or form. So if you wanted special teams in the offseason and you were screaming about bad coverage, which there was, your prayers have been answered. The special teams capital of the world are the 49ers. All right, let's move on to this. Yesterday, Adam Schefter, and Adam used to cover the Broncos years and years ago for the Broncos, so he probably has a special place in his heart for the Denver Broncos. He goes on and throws a little nugget here that the Niners, even when Dre Greenlaw, it was announced, and remember, when the heavy petting started, what are we on, Tuesday? So Monday, basically, everything was done. But when the heavy petting started a week ago and they couldn't put pen to paper, the key term was agreed to terms. So on Monday, teams agreed to terms. On Tuesday, a week ago, teams agreed to terms. And then finally, they could take the feather pen on Wednesday and actually sign the contract. So until then, apparently the 49ers were trying to sway Dre Greenlaw to come back to the 49ers, even though he had a verbal agreement with the Broncos. Here's what Adam Schefter said yesterday on a radio show / YouTube show, but this was actually a radio show in Denver.
We're trying to get back Dre Greenlaw, even after Denver had an agreement done with him. You know, they were pushing to get that done, and they were trying to flip his decision in this world that we live in, where, you know, people commit and there are agreements, and the Niners tried to flip Dre Greenlaw back to San Francisco, and I think they were pretty persuasive, but not persuasive enough. And I think Dre Greenlaw stood his ground and kind of stayed with Denver. And Hufanga, you know, when he's been healthy, has been unbelievable.
Absolutely. And that's not accurate. But the part about Dre Greenlaw is interesting to me. And what this screams, because the details of Greenlaw's deal come out, and it's this. It's not very much. Well, relatively speaking, for you and I, we'd be like, oh, my God, what? But Dre Greenlaw's Bronco contract, that spot rack, 3 years, 31.5. But as these contracts are often, actually always are, funny money, monopoly money, agents go 3 and 31. Look what I got him. Actually, you didn't. You got him 11.5 guaranteed, which is the first year salary. So it's a 1 year, as you can see right there in the bullet point, the bottom bullet point, 1 year, 11.5 practical. Next March, they owe him $2 million, which they probably won't pay. So they're going to owe him a 5.8, 11.1, 13.1, but the contract is only guaranteed at 11.5 for 1 year. So you're telling me that you couldn't bring back Dre Greenlaw for 1 year and 11.5 practically. You couldn't give him that exact same or even above that, because at that point, if he had agreed verbally to 3 and 31.5 with 11.5 guaranteed, $2 million next March, blah, 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 the Niners would conceptually have to top that, and by a fair amount. What that screams to me very simply is, because I know this, Dre wanted to come back. He's pretty transparent. He wanted to play next to Fred Warner. Robert Saleh was coming in. He likes Robert Saleh. He has a good relationship in the building with everybody. Dre Greenlaw does. It's not like he was screaming to get out of here. It's not like Denver's home. He's not from there. What he did was, though, from what I understand, was the first offer was so low and bad that it left a sour taste in he and his agent's mouth. And they were like, sorry. And it goes back to something I said at the beginning of this whole thing was the night before free agency, there were 3 linebackers that agreed to terms. Ernest Jones, Jamien Sherwood, and Nick Bolton. And it was more than the 49ers wanted to pay. It was $12 to $15 million with those guys on 3-year contracts, much bigger guarantees than what Dre Greenlaw got. And so he's the last linebacker of note on the free agent path, and teams all ran after him. But as you look at that deal, and again, it's not like his agent said, hey, you can match any deal we got. It wasn't like that. Because a lot of times what these teams will do is say, they'll kind of back you in a corner like, look, Dre, we're offering you 3 and 31.5, 11.5 guaranteed, et cetera, all those numbers you just saw. but you can't leave the room. If you hang up, the deal's void. Like, we're not going to do it. And here's a guy coming off an Achilles injury saying to himself, I got 11.5 guaranteed. Now, maybe the Niners went back in, and after it was announced that he was going to Denver and said, hey, we'll do this. I swear. That wasn't how it was going to work. Certain guys are like, look, I gave him my word. I'm not going to go back on my word. There's other guys, who would go back on their word, no problem. And I'm sure he wanted to come back here. I'm sure of it. Fred Warner and he are like brothers. He loves Robert Saleh. There was a lot of reasons for Dre Greenlaw to come back. But the 49ers' first offer was so bad, I understand, that they went, sorry, man, you had your opportunity. And then after we signed with Denver, and that's not something we're going to do, we're just not going to back out of deals. We're just not going to do it. So if their first offer had been at least competitive and in there, and it comes down to, and this is the way they wanted to do their offseason. It's fine. That's your prerogative, Bobby Brown. That's your prerogative. But if the first offer had been in the ballpark, then I think Dre Greenlaw would still be a 49er. And if I was the 49ers and I said to myself, okay, cold and calculated offseason, no problem with it. I got no problem with it. Your team, do what you want. Teams have reset. People forget. The Rams did it a couple of years ago. They're in a good spot. The Bills did it a couple of years ago. They're in a good spot. So it's not like the 49ers are not going to be competitive like all these national outlets are acting like. If they got Membu to play right tackle, move McKivitz over, and with the skill position players that they have, they're going to score points. Right now, it's about the defensive side of the ball where you look and you go, is anyone on defense? Oh, there's Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Okay, Lenore's there. What else? They lost a lot. And if they had Dre Greenlaw, which should have been I think they should have gotten in the room ahead of time and said, look, we're going to trade Debo, no problem. We're going to lose Hufanga. We get it. We're going to cut Leonard Floyd. Okay. Or, all these other things. Malik Collins. Just go back and look at the numbers on any of those guys. They're either injured or ineffective or both. I have no issue with losing any of those guys. But Dre Greenlaw, you had no replacement on the roster. Great friends with Fred Warner. Robert Saleh wanted the guy okay, there's one expenditure. We're going to make one exception in the offseason. We're going to sign 18 special teams guy. But as far as the base defense, our starting 22, we're going to make one exception to the rule, which is going to be we're going to keep Dre Greenlaw. And they're going to extend Kittle, and they're going to re-sign Brock Purdy. But we're going to make one free agent splash that we absolutely have to keep as we look at this roster is Dre Greenlaw. And I get it. He's coming off an Achilles. That is not nothing. That is not nothing. And maybe the medicals screamed at them, no. Maybe they did. And maybe I'm 100% wrong because I don't know the medicals. I'll give you that. I do not know the medicals. But if Denver was willing to do what they did, and it's only 1-11.5. So even if the medicals are bad, okay, I get it, Jed. You're going to eat 11.5 this year, or even let's say you had to go higher, you're going to eat 13. You're eating over $20 million next year on Hargrave. You're eating $8 million on Hargrave this year. You're eating $31 million on Debo. If you trade Ayuk, which many people are still saying, you're going to eat 18 on him. On down the line, you're eating $15 million this year on Eric Armstead. You're eating $12 million on Ward. So the line was maybe he'll play, maybe he won't. You won't eat the 12 on Dre Greenlaw. I understand. Draw the line. But at Dre Greenlaw, you decided to draw the line? That doesn't make any sense. Because as I pointed out to you many times already in this whole process, they have players to replace every player they've lost but Dre Greenlaw. Ask me a question. Ward, Green. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿, Farrell, even though they brought 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫 back. You can go on down the line. They have guys. Aaron Banks, just about anybody. I mean, he's not. Aaron Banks is not a massive loss at 4-77. Sorry, he's just not. You can find a left guard. You will find a left guard. They will. And I've told you, if they go the draft a certain way, then it's going to be Colt McKivitz. They're going to replace Aaron Banks just fine. Thank you very much. They're replaceable players. Hufanga, Mustafa. Like right away. It's like a game. They had everybody but Greenlaw. And then it comes out that Greenlaw was 1-11.5. And then that's like treating your significant other like garbage. And then they find somebody else, and then you go running after them going, I'll treat you well. I promise. Please give me another chance. It's like, it's too late. It's too late. And you read the market incorrectly, and the injury is absolutely a factor. The Achilles, which is the worst injury in all of sports right now, it's a massive factor. If it's clean bill of health, Dre Greenlaw, the Niners sign him, no problem. In fact, he probably never even makes it to free agency. That's how big of a deal he is. But the injury played a factor. But once you saw the night before, that these 3 linebackers signed, and he was going to have a ton of leverage. And they know what's going on in the market. It's not like it's a surprise. Denver came up with that money, but now it comes out that it's 1 and 11.5, and that's where you drew the line. When you have all this dead money on your cap that you're going to pay guys not to play for you, you're going to decide that a guy who you don't have a replacement for in any way, shape, or form, oh, it's Curtis Robinson. You mean the guy coming off an ACL who's completely unproven? No, it's D. Winters, the guy who was playing like a chicken with his head cut off half the year last year. And now you got to draft a linebacker. And people are like, oh, you got to draft one early. It's like, they got a lot of needs, man. And that's just one where you'd have said, okay, we need an entire defensive line outside of Nick Bosa. I get it. But then at least you'd have Greenlaw and Orner. And now you've got to find yourself a Robin to the Batman as far as the linebacker position is concerned. And I was on with Larry Krueger last night, and I've told this story before. A lot of young linebackers coming into the league can move forward just fine. Even though it's tough, but I mean, you can get through the muck and you can make tackles and you can make plays and you can all those kind of things. A lot of linebackers out of college can move forward just fine. Thank you very much. That's not the problem. The problem is we're in a passing league, and the short area of the field in the middle especially is prime target, prime real estate. And that's why Bowman and Patrick Willis were so good. That's why Warner and Greenlaw are so good, because lots of teams, that's where they want to do things. They want to go right to the middle, the short middle of the field. They want crossing routes right there. And if you can't cover, if you can't tackle, you're going to get crushed. And so what happened last year to the Niners? Devondre Campbell, you saw 59 Campbell constantly, which means he was running after somebody. And it wasn't so much in the run game as it was in the pass game. And what teams do offensively, and you know this, is they just target. They make a game plan based on the fact that who can we target? And they're going to target a young linebacker. And I know you're going to, when I come up with this name, you're going to go, wait a minute, he was terrible. Reuben Foster was, I watched him in training camp when he first came in for his first training camp, and everybody was looking at each other going, this dude's a missile. This dude's going to be awesome. He was going forward. And he was a missile. And then they got him in the pass drills, crushed every guy. I mean, Juszczyk one time made him just like twist around and fall down like a pretzel. It was comical. But I'm talking about like third string tight ends who I don't even remember their name anymore. We're just cooking him. And it was like, this is a problem. After watching him go forward, we're like, this dude's going to be an all-pro. This was a great pickup. This was, because they traded ahead of the Saints to get him. And everybody was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is awesome. Then all of a sudden he's in pass drills. We're like, this is a problem. And that's most of the young linebackers that come into the league. They can move forward just fine. They can blow up plays. They can get through blockers. They can make splash plays in the backfield, tackles for loss, TFLs, all that stuff. Awesome. But then it's like, okay, go backwards. So they're going to get targeted. Tight ends, running backs, the whole deal. And, 3rd and 3, you're going to take on a running back coming out of the backfield. Or 3rd and 4, you're going to take on a tight end. They're going to target you. They're going to get you out in space. What are you going to do? And a lot of young linebackers in this league can't do it. So to me, that's the problem, is all of a sudden you're going to have a situation where, because you wouldn't come up with X amount of dollars for Dre Greenlaw, which ends up 1 and 11.5. And I can defend a lot of the things that they did in the offseason. Not 18 special teamers, but you get my idea in terms of who they lost. This one's a tough one. Because clearly, as Adam Schefter said, if he's accurate, and he probably is, that they begged to get Dre Greenlaw back, and you come out that it's 11.5 that's fully guaranteed. That's it. And if he's not playing like Dre Greenlaw, he's going to be a free agent again next year. So there's the latest on that. All right, before I move on to some other things, I did Mock Mania, Denver Dre story, another special teams player. I'm going to get into this Giant story, which is kind of wild, to be honest with you. But before we move on to anything that is not related to the 49ers, do we have anything left to discuss with that? Oh, hi. Very nice to see you. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I always have a good time. Krug and I have known each other for how long? 15 years. We lived across from each other in Walnut Creek. He coached my son in Little League, and we were actually the Dodgers, and neither of us would wear the LA hat. I tried to throw him a hat one time and put the hat on. I wanted to take a photo of him and then blackmail him, but he wouldn't put it on. Like, he was a coach for the Little League Dodgers, coaching my son and his son, and he wouldn't put the Dodgers hat on. It was hilarious. Everybody wanted to put him on so they could take a picture of it and then blackmail him. It's like, come on, man, do it. He wouldn't do it. Didn't do it. Yeah, I don't know the medicals, but I did sleep at Holiday Inn Express last night. That's part of it, man. That's part of it. Probably. Joshua, good to see you, my friend. Yeah, I'd look. Maybe the medicals are terrible and the 49ers just weren't happy with it. And I totally get it. I understand it. And that's the one part of it. I just don't know. And I understand that. But there was one team who said 1-11.5 isn't. I would just say this. Given that you didn't have anybody to replace them, and in most places of guys you lost, you did, wouldn't it have been worth the risk? I would think it would be. They deemed it wasn't until it was too late. Because the thing that, if Schefter is right here, if you just jumped in, let me just do this one more time. Oh, stop. Hang on. He was talking about Fungo. This is it right here. Okay, go ahead.
The Niners were trying to get back 𝐸_GREENLAW, even after Denver had an agreement done with him. They were pushing to get that done. And they were trying to flip his decision in this world that we live in, where, people commit and there are agreements. And the Niners tried to flip 𝐸_GREENLAW back to San Francisco. And I think they were pretty persuasive, but not persuasive enough. And I think 𝐸_GREENLAW.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. Number one, T-shirt Shefty is throwing me off a little bit. The T-shirt Shefty. And then I'd love to be on a show. Mosier, Lombardi, and Kane. I'd love to be on a 3-man show. You'd be so lazy. I never was on a 3-man show. I was either a solo guy or a 2-man show. 3-man show would be like half the show. You just be like, whatever, having a beer, hanging out. 3-man show. What are you kidding? It's like stealing. But anyway, I digress. He said, what I think is so funny is like, they were really persuasive, but just not quite enough. Yeah, because their first offer was such crap and probably turned them off. And they got so pissed about it. They're like, wait a minute, 3 linebackers just signed for AAVs in the 13 to 15 range. And technically speaking, has had a better career than all 3 of those guys. And I know that you sign a guy nowadays for what he's going to do, not for what he's done. And coming off the Achilles is a major deal. But like I said, if the first offer is like $8-9 million and the going rate's 13 to 15, then what that does is it turns you off so badly that you're like, eh. And then when you go beg and plead, please, please, they're like, eh, whatever. Oh, hi, Eric. That's a great question. I think they'd have to, wait a minute. I think they'd have to look into CJ Mosley. And one of the things why, and we'll see, I don't know what he's asking for. I have no idea what his whole situation is. He was released by the Jets. The only reason I'm saying that we're not sure is because wouldn't you think they would have jumped on him given that Robert Saleh had him in New York? Now, he's had injuries too, so I don't know what his exact injury situation is. But my initial inclination on him is, okay, what's going on with him? Because the reason why we made a correlation with DJ Reed, who ended up going to Detroit, was Robert Saleh. The whole reason I looked at Jamian Sherwood, who I really, really liked, and is 25 and coming off a great year. His arrow's going up, not down or not even. It's going up. Yeah, he cost too much money, but he was with Robert Saleh. That was a guy that I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's a guy. So as far as CJ Mosley is concerned, I have heard nothing in regards to CJ Mosley and the 49ers, which would tell me something's going on there. Something weird's going on. Either A, he's asking for too much money, which he shouldn't be at his age and effectiveness level, or there's something injury there or something like that. There's got to be something, because with Robert Saleh, you would think, okay, there's a 1-year guy. There's CJ Mosley next to Fred Warner. There's a 1-year guy. There's some Devondre Campbell there to me. I don't mean it in a negative sense off the field. I'm not saying that about CJ Mosley. That's not true. What I'm saying is that CJ Mosley, I just talked about the pass game, a little bit older. I think you'd have to look at it and you'd be like, probably doesn't do too well against the pass, which means, okay, now he's a 2-down backer. How much you paying a 2-down backer? And you still got to bring in a guy for the pass game. Hi, John Holmes. Need to draft a guy. I need to get a draft guy on the show. Absolutely. Matt Miller, McShay, no question about it. We will. You know me. I'm a massive draft guy. And not only will Krug and I do some draft stuff, but we will get draft guys on the show. I love draft talk. I'm just waiting. Like, free agency is now over. What are we at? March 18th today. Draft is about 5-6 weeks away. I will absolutely go draft crazy. I love the draft. I'm completely versed in the draft. I'm reading stuff every single day, trying to find out more and more stuff. Right now, Membu is the guy that I'm slightly obsessed with. I'd love a right tackle so they can move McKivitz to left guard and be set on the offensive line, plus have a left tackle for the future. And I was watching film on the guy, and it's dorky, but I did it, and I love it. So it's good. Yeah, look, I don't mind Mosley, but I think they have to do a little bit of a dive on him. I don't know what the injury history is. I don't know how well he's moving nowadays. But it would seem to me that would be a guy that they would snap up based on Robert Saleh knowing him, and that would make me feel a lot better in the short term, because for a team that goes, God, I really don't like that Achilles, I'm not sure if we can do that, to rely on Robinson, who's a guy coming off an ACL who to me has always been a special teamer. And now all of a sudden, as I heard last year before he got hurt, everyone's like, Curtis Robinson, you got to watch this Robinson guy. It's like, okay, we'll see. You know what's funny is the Little League team, I don't know if they won the championship, but we blew out teams. And you know why? Because Krug was the first base coach, and they ran every single pitch. Like if a kid got on first base, go. First base, go. Take the extra base, yes. And this was, I think it might have been like 10 and 11-year-olds. So it's like you're forcing a 10 or 11-year-old to make a perfect throw all the time. Never. Like constant. Krug was so aggressive. Like so aggressive. That's what it was. It was incredibly aggressive. What's going on? I don't know why I popped that up there, but yeah. Whitey is a good friend of mine, by the way. Love 𝐬𝐝𝐫𝐤. Very, very good. I just popped that up there accidentally, but still, I like those guys. All right, let's see. What else do I got here? We are rolling through a bunch of stuff today. So episode 91, that kind of looks like a 7, but it's episode 91 here. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube right now. Please make sure you subscribe. Please hit the like button, which really helps us as well. So hit the like and make sure you are subscribed and you're getting those alerts. We are on Bay Area Sports Collective as well on YouTube. Make sure you're following. Maybe today, good amount of people watching on X today at John Lund Radio. You can hit us up anytime there. And on Instagram at John Lund Radio. In fact, I have not checked in with my Instagram. Oh my gosh. You know what? I did not hit go live. I just did on Instagram. Wow. They've missed an hour of the show on Instagram. They're like, what happened, bro? Sorry to my Instagram people. But anyway, Bat lost last night. Paul George dodged the bullet on that. He is out for the year. That's who they wanted in the offseason. You would have no Jimmy Butler. You'd be preparing to trade Steph Curry. That would be awful. Mock Mania, I tell you. Mock Mania as both on one day, and I'm sure they did this on purpose. That's Mel's mock. That's the guy I would like if he is there. And there is Daniel Jeremiah's pick. I don't hate it, but I don't think that's the pressing need. But again, you should draft best player, not for need. And the Niners need just about everything. So if they pick that guy, I wouldn't be down with it. It's just, I want some beef. I want it to be beef. I want a beef draft. You know what I mean? This guy's 6'4", 324, great athlete, like a Trent Williams kind of an athlete. Get him to right tackle, McKivitz to left guard. This guy in a year takes over at left tackle. That's what I'm talking about. We've talked about Dre Greenlaw. That's a deal the Niners should have made ahead of time. It screams. We gave him such a low-ball deal that when it came around to begging and pleading, he said no. That according to Adam Schefter, which we've played for you a couple of times in the show today. So there's that. So the Dre story, another special teams player, we did that. So we are through the Dubs and the Niners side of things. The story about the Giants is really interesting, and I'm speculating here, right? Let me get to the Giants real quick. So here's the story this morning. It originated, I should say, in The Athletic. So here it is right here. Alex Simon, I like his just because there's a paragraph that makes this really easy for the show to do this, to decipher this. Giants sell significant piece of team for first time in decades. Now, what teams are doing, that's a trippy picture, fisheye lens. What teams are doing now to generate revenue is rather than selling the team, we always scream that as fans. Well, if you don't like the money, then just sell the team. Well, they don't have to sell the team. They sell a percentage of the team. It's a silent percentage. Don't tell me how to run the team. I give you a small percentage of the team, and you give me a boatload of money. So, for example, the Niners are talking about this, and their valuation is in the billions. So 10% of the team, according to some, is $900 million to $1 billion of revenue that they could generate with that. Not bad. The Warriors, there's been a discussion. They're worth about $4 billion. So 10% of their team, you could get upwards of $400 million. And as far as the Giants are concerned, the last valuation I saw on the Giants was somewhere in the $400 million range. So again, $4 billion range. So what you could get for 10%, you're in the $400 million range. So not bad, right? It's a silent partner. You get their money. You give them like a suite. They get a parade around as an owner, whatever the case may be, and all things are good. And they don't have any say in the operation. It's just, you pay me $400 million for 10% of the team. So here's what's interesting, and I hope you can read this. Let me just read some of it for you. So this is out of the piece that I just showed you. So Larry Baer says that the money will be used to enhance the stadium's main entrance facing William Hayes Plaza and designated sections for rooter clubs akin to those in soccer stadiums, and expand premium sections that include all-inclusive food and drink service. But Baer downplayed any thoughts of the new cash helping the team increase its spending on the team. Quote, "This is not about a stockpile for the next Aaron Judge. This is about improvements to the ballpark, making big bets on San Francisco, and the community around us having the firepower to take us into the next generation. Sixth Street is the company that would buy a percentage, best known for the Bay Area sports scene as the primary owner of Bay FC, blah, 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 blah." So here's the point. And then let me just get to this last one. That's the other guy. We don't really care about that. I'll leave that up there for just a second. Then I want to get into this whole thing. But what this screams of, and the Giants can do whatever they want. They own the team. It's a business. But what I want to further tell you about the Giants, and I tell you this all the time, some teams hate the Dodgers as much as you want. Some teams are just win, 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 win. And they care about the baseball side more than the business side, even though the business side is running very much. And what you can do is, if you win, the business side a lot of times can take care of itself because fans can't get enough, and they're buying merchandise and tickets and all these different things. And the numbers for your TV and radio and all these other localized things are going up. And there's more platforms than ever for sports. So those numbers are going up. So you're going to be fine on the business side. If you win, they will come. So the money will come if you win. That's how some teams think. The majority of teams, though, think like the Giants. And what the Giants are, and I was thinking about this morning, how I was going to approach this. I have a friend of mine. He owns a major watch and accessories company. They do very, very well. But when he started the company, it was about his marketing background, and the watches and accessories and all these kind of things were kind of secondary. He was just looking for a business or a type of business that he could, that would work for him. But what he's great at is the marketing aspect of it. And then he built it. It could have been anything. I use this often because, I don't know, I just think of the Jets in these situations, Spacely sprockets. It doesn't matter if it's a watch, a sprocket, a coffee cup, a coffee company, whatever. This guy's a master marketer, and he uses that particular thing, the accessories, the watches, and so forth, for the accessory side of it, for the marketing side of it, and it just happens to be that. To me, that's kind of what the Giants are like. Baseball happens to be the vehicle, but I don't know that they have a passion to win like some of these other teams, because what they are is they're a real estate company. They're a team that's going to think about what they're reinvesting in. And I've told you this time and time again. The star of the Giants is never going to be a player. They might luck into that, but the star of the Giants is never going to be a player. And if it is a player, then they want Aaron Judge so they can put him on billboards and sell. And it's all, again, baseball is the vehicle for the marketing. So if you, and again, I read this to you, they're going to improve the facilities for the big time money people. So they're going to make these suites and all these different things better. The front of the ballpark. What do you see when you go to the park? The front of the ballpark. That's marketing. Let's make this look better. And I'm not knocking him at all for the part where he says, we're not going to just go out and spend this money on Aaron Judge. I get it. That's like getting a bunch of money and going on a vacation to Mexico, where smart people, what they'll do is they'll reinvest that money and make more money, and then they can go to Mexico off the more money that they made. And that's essentially what the Giants are doing. They're saying, from a business perspective, real estate, the ballpark, the front of the ballpark that everybody sees, the suites where they pay the most money, we're going to upgrade all those kind of things so that the Giants can make more money. And then what Larry Baer is saying on top of it is, we're not doing this so that we can sign Aaron Judge. Don't say that. Don't say that. Like, you can think that all you want. And I can see on the surface what you're doing. It's not difficult to believe. We're going to fix the front where everybody sees marketing. We're going to fix up the suites and all these things for the people paying them more money so that we can ask them for more money. Like, those are the kind of things they're doing. They're investing money to make more money. And that's a business thing. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's not one thing wrong with it. They're going to invest more into the real estate. There's nothing wrong with that. Take money to make money. That's what he's saying here. You just don't want to always be saying that. If somebody asks you, are you going to reinvest in the baseball side? Yeah, we're going to make our facilities better. That's one thing he should be saying is, and I know they're going to use some of this for Scottsdale and to make that better, but all their facilities from a baseball standpoint, and this is what the Dodgers do, you can rip them all you want, but they use a lot of their money to make the baseball side better, not by directly paying players, which they do, but they increase everything from a baseball standpoint to make it all better. Why do they do that? It makes a lot of their, for example, with their Latin players, all these different ways that you can reinvest on the baseball side. So if you're going to make the suites better, that's your prerogative. If you're going to make the front of the ballpark, Willie Mays Plaza, better so that you can attract more people, I understand that. It's reinvesting in the product. I understand. But it's reinvesting in the business side of the product is essentially what Larry Bear is saying here. When fans are saying, okay, at least reinvest in the baseball side so that players would come here. And the first thing that I thought of, and I was hoping I would read, is not that they're going to increase this, just throw this in the players, because that would be short-sighted. I'm not asking for that. But what I wanted to hear was, okay, I understand that you want to make the ballpark better and you want to make the suites better for the people paying the money so you can charge them more. And I understand that you're going to make, give the front a facelift because that's what most people see. And there's going to be more bells and whistles so that, you get more people to the ballpark, because I've told you this again and again. The star of the Giants is the ballpark. That's their star. Keep the turnstiles moving. What does the Willie Mays Plaza do? Keep the turnstiles moving. What do increased and better suites do? Keep charging more for the people who have the money. Like, it's all business related. You can do that if you want. I have no issue with it. But to come out and say this isn't about an Aaron Judge, just say that. Don't say that. And I understand that. But come out and say, look, we are going to improve baseball facilities and it will get more players here. And this is ABC how we're going to do it. Because that's your fan base going, look, you're not competing with the Dodgers or the Padres or the D-backs. How are you going to do this? Tell me first that you're going to improve the baseball product, not by signing a player, because that's short-sighted, by improving the facilities, by improving, the amount of money you're going to put into the Latin side of things so you're going to get those players, or that you're going to put more money into finding Japanese players, or ways that you can improve your pipelines to get better players. How are you going to do that? That's what I want to know. And then the other side, if you're going to fix the ballpark, fix the damn ballpark. Players won't hit here. Do it again. I know you brought it in once. Bring it in again. You need more home runs. You need more runs. You need more hits. I understand that this team won championships pitching. I get it. But you got to you got to level the playing field. And the thing is, in Colorado, for example, which we often talk about, there's nothing they can do about the thin air and the ball flying out of there, and that pitchers don't want to come there. You could make that thing the Grand Canyon. Pitchers still aren't coming. So that's built in. That's a problem. You can make the ballpark smaller again and cut down Triples Alley again, and it would cost a lot of money, but you're going to get $400 million. And I know it only goes so far. I understand that. $400 million doesn't go like it used to go. I get it. But if I was going to make a change to the ballpark, that would be a great change, and they're not going to take seats away, and so that would probably be a problem. Bring it in again. I don't want Triples Alley at all. I want home runs for left-handed hitting hitters, whether it's my team or another team, because chicks dig the long ball, and I want balls flying out of the yard. Fix it again. Because you're still at a disadvantage offensively. And guys, and I like that Willie Adames signed here, a right-handed hitter, but I want to see left-handed hitters come here too. Pete Alonso didn't sign a one-year deal in San Francisco. It would have been a make-good deal because he's going to go out on the market next year. I know he signed a multi-year deal in New York, but it's essentially a one-year deal. And we all knew Pete Alonso wasn't going to come here because he wasn't going to play in this ballpark on a one-year make-good deal. I need to fix that because what's going to eventually be the best thing the Giants could do for business? Win. If you win, they will come. And a lot of these issues that you're doing, all these cosmetic things that you're doing them because the product on the field isn't good enough. The Dodgers don't have to do a massive makeover of Dodger Stadium. How come? Because people come there because they win. That's what happens. If you win, they will come. If you win, a lot of these issues will be resolved without throwing, look at Willie Mays Plaza. Ooh, cool. Let's go to the game. Look at these upgraded suites. Give me more money. Like, you're doing these things, these cosmetic things to the ballpark, and it's your business, but you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But it comes down to this for me. They don't want to win at all costs. They don't want to do it. They are into the cosmetic side. They are a company that is a real estate company. They are a team that they are the business side more than they are the baseball side. And like I told you at the beginning, my friend who has the marketing company of accessories and watches and all those kind of things, watches are the vehicle. He's a marketer at heart. That's what he does. That's what he's great at. And he started that company and then he branched it out and he does all sorts of different companies. And he's been hired as an overseer of a number of different companies because of his brilliance in marketing and sales. And that's what he does. And so the product really doesn't matter to him. And to the Giants, baseball is just the vehicle of it. It's the sheep. The wolf, actually, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, and the wolf or the engine is the business. Baseball is nice and pretty and cool to hang out at, and everybody likes it and it's fun. But the reality is that's not how they run their business, and they can run their business however they'd like. But when you lead in a story like that it's about the suites and that money, and it's about, look at the front of the place, which is marketing, which is Willie Mays Plaza, which is going to get more people out, and it's the business, and the real estate and all these different things. Your true baseball fan goes, how are you going to improve the baseball product? And I don't need you to go out and sign. Well, I do, but I understand that it's short-sighted to just say, let's take a portion of this and increase payroll. I get it. I understand that portion of it. But then take in the baseball facilities part of it and take a chunk of that and make it better. Invest the money so that you can get better and more Latin players. You can get better and more, and anything more than zero Japanese players. Like, invest in the baseball product. Reinvest in the baseball product, because if they win, you don't have to do some sort of cosmetic upgrade to the front of the ballpark, because you win and no one cares. Like, the ballpark's awesome. You don't have to change Willie Mays Plaza. It's great. And you wouldn't have to change Willie Mays Plaza if you won 95 to 100 games every year. No one would give a shit about what the way Willie Mays Plaza looks like. I don't care. I've already had 8 beers across the street. I don't even know that it's there. Anyway. Sorry, it rubs you the wrong way. I understand why they're doing it. It's actually very smart to sell this percentage. But when the lead is, look at these suites and look at the Willie Mays Plaza and nope, we're not doing it to sign Aaron Judge. You don't have to. But tell me you're going to improve the baseball facilities so that in a roundabout way, you're going to make the baseball team better. I mean, wouldn't you just love to hear him say that, even if he didn't mean it? Like, just tell me, just feed me something. Tell me you're going to make the baseball team better. That's all. I'm going to just pop this thing up there one more time before, just so that you see where I'm at here. Sorry, I lost that thing now. Right here. So right at the beginning here, which was blah, 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 baseball, blah, 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 plan to enhance the stadium's main entrance facing Willie Mays Plaza, adding designated sections for rooter clubs akin to those in soccer stadiums, expand premium sections that include all-inclusive food and drink. So in other words, it's right where you walk in. So, hey, Willie Mays Plaza is better. Cool. And then it's to upgrade for the 1%ers, which is not average Joe, which I understand. But then in the second paragraph here, it says, this is not about a stockpile for Aaron Judge. Don't say that. Don't say that. Just tell me that, yeah, we're going to do A, B, and C, and it's going to look cool and everything. And as I tell you, it's more about, well, the ballpark is the star of the team, so we're going to upgrade the ballpark. If you won, you really wouldn't have to do that, but okay. And we're going to upgrade to the people who have the most money. I understand that. That's a basic business principle. But don't tell me you're not doing this for Aaron Judge. Just swallow that part. Tell me that you're going to improve the baseball facilities so that you can develop the next Aaron Judge. I've talked about pipelines for this team. They have no pipeline to Japan. Their pipeline to Latin players has produced what? Pablo Sandoval since 2002? Luciano doesn't look like he's going to be anything. Remember that guy Fox that they got? Like, none of these guys are coming through. Where are these guys? What are the baseball facilities like? Why are players not coming here? What are they not impressed by? Where are you upgrading I understand. Take a lot of it for the baseball stadium, but take something and decide and at least tell the fans that, well, we're not going to go out and sign Aaron Judge. We're going to upgrade the facilities to a point where we can develop the next Aaron Judge. I understand as a fan, long term. I don't want you to go out and drunkenly spend $100 million, which would be on a player right now, which would be akin to me getting a few bucks. And then even though I have bills to pay and credit card bills and all these different things, and there's a judgment against me, I'm not going to run off to Mexico for a month and spend that money. That would be stupid. I'm not asking you to do that. But what I want you to do is do what the Dodgers do, which is they take money and they reinvest it on the baseball side. And even if they take X amount of dollars for Dodger Stadium, they win, and it's their right to do that, just like it's the right for the Giants to do whatever they want. But it's just a PR nightmare when you hear, oh, it's going to be the front of the stadium where everybody comes in, which is just, it's a facelift and it's marketing. And then it's the 1%ers who we're going to upgrade this and upgrade that for these people. It's not for the average Joes. It's not going to be better. You don't mention baseball facilities being improved. Where's that? Just lead with that. Like, you don't even have to mean it. Just lead with it. Give us something. Throw us a bone. Hey, we're doing A, B, and C so that we can have better Latin players. We're doing A, B, and C so that the current players, like a free agent walks into this ballpark, and behind the scenes, he's going to walk into this clubhouse. He's going to walk into the weight room. He's going to walk into the new facilities. We just upgraded the baseball side of things, and dudes are going to come in here and go, whoa. Or we just, Triples Alley's done. Like, no more Triples Alley. Triples Alley's finished. There is no more excuses for a power hitter not to come here. Right-handed power will come here sometimes. Willie Adames did. But if you're a left-handed power hitter, get out of town, man. I'm not doing that. And Pete Alonso's not a dead pole hitter. So, like I said, I would think to myself, and again, around this mahogany table, they're all about business. I understand that. But I would love it if there was just one guy going, if we didn't have Triples Alley, maybe Pete Alonso in a one-year make-good deal might think of us. But no one does. Like, as I'm talking about pipelines to players. So your Latin players haven't come through. You don't have any Japanese players. You haven't had one on your team since 2015. Left-handed hitters, free agent-wise, won't come here because they're hitting the ball right into Triples Alley. There's got to be pipelines to how you can build your team. And a lot of power hitters won't come here. Well, how do you fix that? Look, you got $400 million. Take $100 million and move the fences in again. Like, I know it's at the expense of your pitchers, but at least hitters will then sign here. Like Pete Alonso would think, like, you're not getting 1 year make good power hitters. You're not going to get those guys ever. So I've said this forever. I don't love Triples Alley. I know how they won a championship, but it's been 10 years. And in business, you better make some changes. If power hitters won't come here hitting from the left side, you better make some changes, because it's not Colorado where the thin air is the thin air and there's nothing you can do about it. You can do something about this. You can improve the lot of your baseball team. And I'm not asking you to spend a bunch of money or anything crazy on that. Hey, you want to have a facelift at the front of the stadium so that you can impress the fans that are impressed by those kind of things, which is a marginal fan who would come to the ballpark. I don't know one fan, by the way, who's going to come to the ballpark because Willie Mays Plaza is improved. I don't see it. Like, well, I got to see the new Willie Mays Plaza. How about I want to see a team win, and I'll come to the ballpark. Hey, did you hear that they upgraded Willie Mays Plaza? Can't wait to see it. Did you hear that the 1%ers get, better facilities? Wonderful. It just screams we don't want to win. So, and I could be wrong. All right, I'm done with that. I went way too long on that rant. Sorry. I apologize. I'm calmed down now. 400. I mean, my God, man. It's like, hey, could you sign here? No. Why not? That's why. Oh, yeah. Bonds is amazing. He's the exception to the rule, But I just think that it would be really nice is if you could just say to hell with it, man. I've had it. Like, we've got to change the ballpark. Colorado's got thin air. There's nothing Colorado can do about it. Pitches are never going to Colorado. But you could fix this ballpark so that you could have an equal chance. And after Ohtani says no, and after Harper says no, and after Stanton says no, and after blah, 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 all these guys say no, wouldn't that tell you maybe the ballpark's a problem? Maybe the ballpark's a problem. Nope, we're going to fix the front. Willie Mays Plaza, hey! And the way it's probably going to be fixed is you go in there and we're going to throw more stuff that you have to spend more money. That's what it's going to be. They're not doing it because they're being nice. Hello, Franco. It was great to see you with the 𝐾𝐿 show last night. I saw Franco. By the way, for those who don't know this, but I'll just, because I stream it on my channel as well when I do 𝐾𝐿, and I love doing 𝐾𝐿 show, but I don't have control over the chat line or anything like that. Like, I'll see stuff, but it's his show that I'm joining. as a guest. So I don't pop people up. I don't do any of those kinds, because a lot of times I'll say, Lund, how come you're not recognizing us? And I'm like, I can't do it. Like, it's his deal. So he just, he'll pop you up. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hi, Papa Jay. I hear you, brother. Like and subscribe. Let's go. John Lund Unleashed and the Bay Area Sports Collective. Please. Look, hate the Dodgers all you want. And I do. I'm with you. But the Dodgers are doing both. They're renovating their stadium right now, and they're getting players, and they're owning the Japanese market. And like you said, they're competing in Korea, although the second baseman they got didn't make their team. So they're not perfect. I'm not saying they are, but it kind of goes without saying. Like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna improve the stadium, but we're also gonna take, and they, in the statement that I saw from the Dodgers when they talked about upgrading their stadium, at the very same time, they made it known that they were upgrading their baseball facilities all over the place. And that's all I want to hear. And maybe the Giants are doing that, but don't lead with, hey, we're not signing Aaron Judge. Don't get dreams of that in your head. Like, you don't even need to say that. Just say, yeah, we're going to upgrade the stadium, but what we're also doing is, baseball fans, we're upgrading the baseball side of things. Now, maybe their research, and here I go again, maybe their research tells them, like the casual fan, but I've always told you this, and this is why it smacks of it. The ballpark is their Aaron Judge. The ballpark is their best player. That's how they look at it. Our best player is the ballpark. Let's give the ballpark a facelift. The front of the ballpark, what everybody sees, that's what we're going to start with. And then the 1%ers, and we're going to improve all this kind of stuff, and the suites and all that kind of stuff. We're going to change that. It's a business, people. I'm not here to tell you that it's not. You have to acknowledge that. And there are some teams that they're not about winning 24/7, 365. They're about turning turnstiles and selling garlic fries and the experience of a ballpark that sits on the water like theirs does. It's amazing. I mean, it is absolutely amazing what they've done. And there's no doubt. But every once in a while, you'd just like it to be about baseball once. Like, could it be about baseball? Could you lead with improvements, not in signing a guy, like I said, which is kind of a short-term kind of a thing, but in how you're going to get better players in here? Are you going to take some of that money and upgrade the facilities? Are you going to develop the next Aaron Judge? You don't have to buy him. I get it. But will you develop him? And how is that going to help that? I don't want to hear how you're going to cater to 1%ers. I don't want to hear how you're going to make the front of the stadium better and upgrade it. It doesn't even need it. It looks pretty awesome. And it's not a reason why I'm going to go to the ballpark. Now, they've probably done research on this, but it just doesn't compute with me. If the front of the ballpark's better, we'll get more people. The ballparks, there's nothing wrong with the ballpark. Now, if you want to upgrade it in terms of making it make more money for you, for the people who will give you more money, I completely understand that. But then there has to be a way to turn some of that increased revenue into the baseball side. And as far as I know, that's not anything that was really brought up, other than we're not signing Aaron Judge, if that's what you're wondering. We're not wondering. We know you won't. But I'll tell you this, if you maybe made the ballpark a little smaller, you might be able to just sign those guys. But I'm done. I told you, I'm done. Stop it. I'm not going to do it. So there's the Giants sell 10% of the part of the program. Give me your thoughts. The Cubs and the Dodgers this morning, and as I said, let me see if ESPN.com and ESPN didn't carry these games, so they're not going to over market these games. It was on Fox this morning at 3:00 in the morning. Yes, still the front of ESPN.com is Kuiper's post free agency NFL mock draft. Why the 49ers could go in many directions at number 11, and Mbu is the guy, Membu, the tackle / guard from Missouri, who I like, is who he has going at number 11. So they're not acknowledging baseball opening day. And if I'm baseball, that's a problem. And you do have a relationship with ESPN. Obviously, they carry a lot of baseball for you. So for them to put Mel Kiper Jr. on the front cover, and it's been there all day long because they know it's going to get a million clicks. Like, I want to click on it right now, and I've already clicked on it. Like, stop. I don't need to click on the mock draft again. I got to click on it. Like, I already know it. I've already seen it. So anyway, if you missed that portion of the program, by the way, and we went over a lot of Niners today, as you can see on the chalkboard there, as well as Dre Greenlaw and everything else, just go either to the front of the show, or I will put the chapters up right after we get off the air, and then you can click on whatever you want. And we say that every day because we kind of do a variety show, talk a lot of different sports, talk a lot of Bay Area sports.
But there's a lot of other stuff going on. So if you missed any of that, we started with the Warriors today. Bad loss to the Nuggets. They can survive it. They play the Bucks tonight, and for some weird reason, I think Curry's not going to play, and they're going to win because they're going to tighten everything up tonight. So we'll see. Another special teams player for the Warriors, the Denver Dre story we've talked about. We had Adam Schefter, that cut. We played that. The Giants sell 10%. Cubs, Dodgers. The Dodgers win, 4-1. Bad news is Yamamoto looked really good. Remember last year, Yamamoto got rocked in Japan, and this year he's looked really, really good. By the way, can you believe a year ago, remember that whole story where Ohtani was in Japan and he had the interpreter, and the interpreter was stealing the money, and we didn't know if it was Ohtani who was gambling? That was a year ago. How crazy is that? Just crazy. So anyway, Cubs, Dodgers. The Dodgers win 4-1 in game number 1, and then Roki Sasaki is going to go down to is going to open up, and we'll see Sasaki for the first time since he came to the Dodgers. Like, they need that. So Cubs, Dodgers game 2 tonight, then they go back over. It's the weirdest thing too. I think it's back to business and back to marketing. Cubs, Dodgers. Cubs have 2 major Japanese players. The Dodgers have 3. So I get it, but then they're going to fly all the way there, fly all the way back to Arizona, play a couple more meaningless games, and then go to the regular season of Major League Baseball. That's crazy to me, but it is. It is what it is. So the Dodgers win 4-1. So Kyle Harrison, let me get to this because I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and then they said, "Hey, did you see Andrew Baggerly's piece on his projection for Giants opening day?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. What was it?" And so I popped it, and it was back on March 7th. I don't know how I missed it. It's in The Athletic, but he talks in there about, and this is before Birdsong's had a couple of nice starts since there. So he was projecting the 5-man rotation is the 3 we've talked about, which is obviously Webb and Verlander's been so good, and Robbie Ray's been really good in the spring. So there's 3. And then he was looking at the final 2, and he did have Jordan Hicks in there, which I'm like, ugh. You know my stance on that. I want to be a 7th inning guy, but okay. So he has Hicks in there, and then at the 5, he's talking about, and he put in Landon Roop. Now, again, that was 11 days ago, so maybe he's changed his stance on that. But I think Roop is going to be the long guy out of the pen. I just can't imagine that Birdsong, and he talks in there about Birdsong needing some more minor league time, and I'm like, this dude is crushing fools. Like, you got to be kidding me. So to me, he's got to be their 4. But my point is that we've talked so long about Kyle Harrison, and he was the top left-handed prospect in the league. And however long you've been listening or watching me, whether it be KNBR or whatever, I like Kyle Harrison. We've had him on numerous times. De La Salle guy, you know the story. We've probably had him on no less than 10 times when we were on KNBR. And the first time being, it was after a Futures game and he got rocked. Super mature guy. I like him a lot as a kid, as a person. But early in spring training, he was thrown in the low 90s. And I don't know what he's working on. That's the other thing about spring training. And I tell you this all the time. I don't know what Kyle Harrison's working on or any other pitcher. So he's sitting there saying, okay, hang on one second. Where are you getting this? Just let me know. Because there's no way that I don't know if you saw this from a place that is worthy, but it's between the Patriots to get the 4th pick for Ayuk, 11th pick, and 43rd pick. Ayuk is hurt, and he's not going to be there till midseason. And I understand that the Patriots are really desperate to get a wide receiver, but this isn't Brandon Ayuk who they've had. This is Brandon Ayuk coming off a really bad knee injury, and the only thing I've heard about Brandon Ayuk is like 4th and 5th round picks, and the Niners going, seriously? They'd get out from under the money, but it's what I've heard is the picks where you're like, okay, we'll give you a 4 and maybe it can become a 3 kind of a thing. I have not heard anything about them going from 11 to 4. If I did, I think that would be the craziest thing ever. And I think it would be Ayuk, 11, 43, and probably next year's 2nd round pick. I mean, the guy's hurt, and I haven't seen anything like that. And I'm not saying that you're not telling the truth. You probably heard that somewhere. I'm just wondering if it's a credible source where you got that from, because the only thing I've heard about Ayuk is that they're getting crummy offers by their thought of like 4th rounders that can become a 3rd rounder, stuff like that. I haven't heard anything like going from 11 to 4. That's a big jump. As we well know, the Niners went 12 to 3. Think about that. The Niners, when it came to Trey Lance in 2021, went from 12 to 3, and it cost them 2 first-round picks. So 11 to 4, so that's 9 spots. 12 to 3 is 9 spots. You're talking about 7-spot jump, and it would cost Ayuk, who's broken, the 11th, and a second rounder. So Ayuk to me is worth right now about a fourth rounder. So a fourth, a first, and a second to move 7 when you had to give up 2 number ones to move 9. That's not making sense to me. But I could be wrong. William, you could be right and I could be wrong. But I'm just trying to do a little bit of math on the fly. So I have not heard that. But you could be right and I could be wrong. But just back to Harrison really, really quickly. Now what we're hearing with Harrison could be he could be a minor leaguer. He could start in the minor leagues. He could be a long reliever kind of a guy. The thing about Harrison, and I've always wanted to be wrong about this, he's a 2-pitch guy. And one of his pitches is what he throws most of the time is a fastball. And I agree with you, Trey Lance Chalk banned. I don't disagree with you on that, by the way, Jazz fan. Banned Trey Lance Chalk. But back to Harrison, I'll try to finish his thought. Is that he's a 2-pitch pitcher, and he's throwing in the low 90s, and I'm thinking to myself, how can he possibly be a starter, go 6-7 innings with 2 pitches? And his stuff plays just because it rises and different, and it seems like it's on you. You've heard that from hitters all the time. It seems like his stuff's on you faster. But unless he's throwing 95, which he's done a little bit this spring, but if he's in the 91, 92 range, then I don't see how Kyle Harrison can be a starter in this league. He's only got 2 pitches, and it's a problem. So I've thought that for the last couple of years, and I've watched Birdsong, I think, pass him in the pecking order. So as of 10 days ago, and a lot can change, the 3 that we've talked about are in the rotation, those 3. And then Bags was saying he thought it was going to be Hicks and Roop. I think Roop is still a long-term guy. I cannot believe that Birdsong would not be a starter. Hayden Birdsong wouldn't be a starter. And by the way, I don't even know what to say about Verlander other than the fact that I guess I was wrong about Verlander. And we'll see I won't say that I'm completely wrong until the season starts. But do I have another Verlander thing? I mean, look at Verlander yesterday with by the way, the fancy green hat. I dig the green. Look at him yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 6 Ks. And more than the numbers, I mean, the guy's throwing at 96, 97. He's burying the slider in the dirt. He looks amazing. And I know, don't overreact over spring training, so I'm breaking one of my own cardinal rules. But a lot of times, it's not about the numbers for me. I don't care about the numbers. It's just you watch Justin Verlander pitch. He is bringing it. And it's early, so don't leave all your pitches in Arizona, my friend. But usually, Arizona, the ball's not breaking as much, those kind of things. If Verlander is a 2, and Robbie Ray is what he's supposed to be, coming off of TJ, but he looks good so far, and you can move Hicks to a 7th inning role like I keep screaming about, and Birdsong's your 4, then a lot of times for most teams, like early in the season especially, you don't need your 5, and your 5's going to be inconsistent all season long. Like that's why people go crazy, like, oh, who's going to be the 5? Probably like 7, 8 different guys are going to be the 5. And unless you're the Mariners, who have a great 5-man, who are the best starting rotation in baseball, and oh, by the way, that's your home opener, great. And the Mariners beat the Giants 1-0. So who knows? But anyway, that's your side on Kyle Harrison. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Harrison comes out and is absolutely great. He's bringing it, and he's tough and all that kind of stuff. But I'm starting to look at the bottom of the rotation, and I'm going, Kyle Harrison is, Birdsong's ahead of him in the pecking order. Landon Roop's ahead of him in the pecking order. For some reason, they're insistent that Hicks continues to be a starter, even though he shouldn't be. But okay, he seems to be ahead of him in the pecking order. Where's Kyle Harrison? Like, are they gonna make Harrison a long guy out of the pen? Is he gonna be in the minors and they're gonna convert him to a reliever? Like, what is he gonna do? And how many pitchers do you know in baseball that are starters with 2 pitches? And they're not just hammer pitches. I mean, if you're fastball slider and it's just hammer, then okay, you might be able to get away with it. But that's not necessarily him. And then that also brings me back to the fact that you as an organization should know at some point, because remember, Harrison was considered the best left-handed starter prospect in baseball just a couple of years ago. And everybody screams and yells that you can't trade prospects, right? Oh, you can't trade Harrison. Well, I bet at one point, Kyle Harrison could have fetched you a lot. Not anymore, probably. Maybe something. But for a period there, it was like Kyle Harrison, man, just like Joey Bart and all these other guys. Luciano has no trade value. Yeah, it's after a while, it's like you've got to know your farm system. And I keep harping on the Dodgers, and what they do so well is they very rarely lose a guy that you go, oh, man, the Dodgers lost that guy. I mean, think about, I've said this a million times, the Scherzer trade, Turner trade, in which they got both of those guys, they lost that catcher Ruiz, and that's it. And Josiah Gray, who made the All-Star team because Washington had to have a player, but he's not very good. On most rotations, what would he be, about 4 or 5? And that's what they lost. Those are the main 2 pieces they lost in the Scherzer Turner trade, which I know they didn't keep those guys for a long period of time, but it's like they got those two guys who were superstars at the time, and that's what they gave up. Like, they know their system. They know who to give up. And you're sitting there going, and look, the Giants have, it's not like since Zach Wheeler, they've really lost a ton of guys that you're like, oh, they should have never traded that guy. But my point is that you're watching Harrison come up through the system with 2 pitches going, is he going to be able to sustain this? You're looking at Luciano with no position going, we can't trade this guy. You're going, okay. That's what great teams do. That I'm talking about. I go back to, again, the Giants and the pipeline to get talent onto your roster. You got to be able to trade minor leaguers at their height when you know they're not going to be exactly what you want. You've got to be able to have a Japanese connection, which they don't. Your guys have got to come through. Your Latin players, they haven't had that happen. Like, all these different ways that you're sitting there going, okay, how do you build a pipeline for your team? Because we all want free agents, right? Well, left-handed hitters won't come here, so there's another one that you just cut off, and you have $400 million, and you're going to look at the front of our stadium and look at these upgrades for our highest-paying clients in these suites, but you're not going to do anything to the ballpark to maybe make it better so that free agents might actually sign here, and so that you wouldn't have to pay Aaron Judge $700 million to come here instead of the 400 the Yankees did. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if I'm around that mahogany table and I understand business, I do. I understand what you have to do. I understand why they're doing it. But couldn't there be that one guy in the back? Excuse me, sir. Could we make the baseball facilities better? Could we maybe fix the ballpark so hitters will sign? Yeah. Sorry. It's a baseball team after all. No, it's not. It's business and it's real estate. It's garlic fries and it's turnstiles. Look at this park. Look at the front of it. It's unmatched. Look at Willie Mays Plaza. It's unmatched. Oh, boy. Sorry. I said I wouldn't go back to that, and I did. It's your fault, not mine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, at that point, Kyle Harrison the best. And look, maybe he comes through, and maybe I'm 100% wrong. I just think Birdsong's passed him by. I think Root probably has passed him by. He's a guy with 2 pitches. And I've said this for a long time. I thought Kyle Harrison was going to be a bullpen guy because I just didn't see that he could do it over a long period of time. And he's done it at times, and I've been amazed. But for the majority of spring training, and I will give him this credit, last time out, he was humping it up there a lot better, but a lot of spring training early was 91, 92, and maybe he was working on something. And I'm totally wrong on him. And I hope I am, because I like the kid. Don't you start. I'm not even acknowledging that, even though I just did. All right. Yeah, we have learned something on the show today. No more Trey Lance. People get really mad. Really mad. I don't know if it's more seats. It's just they're gonna upgrade the ones that they have. In other words, he said that our 1%ers essentially are gonna get better stuff. Our sweet people are gonna get better stuff. That kind of thing. Yeah, he's a freak. When they signed him, I was like, come on, man. You're giving $15 million to a 42-year-old that's coming off a neck injury. He kind of knows what he's doing. I will say. He kind of knows what he's doing. And we got to wait till the regular season happens. But, I mean, in spring, when you're 42 and you're throwing up 96, 97 miles an hour, I don't know what he's doing. But there's just rare guys that are kind of like your Nolan Ryan types, right? That are just like, I don't know, just I used to call it like a rubber arm. Like, this is certain guys, they get hurt left and right. Yeah, Mariano Rivera threw 1 pitch. You're right. But they came in the 9th inning. He sawed your bat off and the game was over. That's hard to do over, 6, 7 innings. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I do. I hope I'm wrong on him because I really like him. What else do we have today? What else? Harrison future random. You know what? I said yesterday I was going to give you a double caboose pistol, and I found a couple of great caboose pistol stories, and I don't think I loaded them. I'm a loser. How much do you care about the Happy Gilmore trailer? Because here's the thing, if you've already seen it, I think last time, and these companies really confuse me. So on YouTube, what happens is, if you play something in most places, I am thoroughly confused by this, because what we're doing on the show is we're giving you promotion. So if I play like Shaq on TNT talking about something, and the other day they're like, oh, you got to take that out. So then on the replay, so that I can monetize the video, they make me take out like Shaq talking about you got to put Curry in the GOAT conversation, and they flagged it and they said, you can't have that. TNT owns it, Turner owns it, you got to pull it out. So then I have to hit a button and it'll yank that out. So I'll describe this whole thing, and then here's Shaq saying this, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and people on the replay are like, "What the hell, bro?" And so sometimes I have to do that because then they won't monetize the video. And I can't remember, but I think the last time I played a trailer on Netflix, they flagged the thing and made me yank it out for later. And the thing is that like Happy Gilmore, I think Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out on July 26th, and they dropped a trailer on it today. And I put it into the system to play. And then I thought to myself, I think last time they flagged this thing and they pulled it, which is not good because you could potentially get a strike. And if you get 3 strikes, they make you delete your channel. You don't want to do that. So, and certainly I don't want to do it in the Bay Area Sports Collective, and there they get mad at me and everything like that for doing it. So I don't know that I'm going to play it, but it's out and you can find it, because I'm thinking that last time I played a trailer for Netflix, which really confuses me because it's like I'm playing this for thousands of people and it's promoting this, which is why you put it out on social media in the first place. But then I play it on my show and you somehow think I'm going to gain a bunch of money off it, which I'm not. I'm just doing it for the entertainment value of viewers and listeners. So I probably won't play it, but it's out there. I'm looking at it right now. It's okay. I'm very nervous about it. But you and I have this conversation all the time. As far as Adam Sandler in certain movies, I'm going to go in there with the correct, I believe to be the correct mindset. And so if it's not real funny, here's the other thing too. I'm not going to a movie theater. I'm just going to sit in my own house. And if it stinks, then I'll turn it off. I don't think I've ever walked out of a movie, even though there are lots of times I'll be like, oh, this movie is terrible. But you're eating popcorn, you're hanging out. And especially given the way that theaters are nowadays, you know, maybe you have a cocktail or a beer, and so you're fine. I was like, I'll just hang out. But I don't think I've ever walked out. So, but it's nice in your house because if you're watching something you don't like it, you're like, eh. But I don't expect a ton out of the Happy Gilmore movie. Don't expect a ton out of it. Although Sydney Sweeney's in it, so that wouldn't be so bad. But we'll see. We'll see on Happy Gilmore. I don't have a lot of expectations for it. Because if you really thought that you wanted to make a number 2, this has always been my theory on the Happy Gilmore 2 or whatever, is that Netflix gave Adam Sandler a boatload of money to produce, I don't know, like 5 movies, something like that. And he's produced a few. And he probably thought to himself, what am I going to do now? And they thought, well, dude, Happy Gilmore 2 is like half written, is what I heard. And people want it. And I know you don't really want to do it, but it would fulfill your Netflix thing. It'll get tons of downloads. People will watch it. People want it. And he's like, okay. But then I watched the trailer and it's like, everyone's like 20, 30 years older. You know, like Sandler obviously is. His nemesis is. The woman from like the tour is. And so they got to bring in some new people. I mean, Carl Weathers is passed, God rest his soul. So Chubb's not there. I can't remember. He's got a new guy or something. I watched the trailer this morning. He's got like a new coach or something. And yeah, the premise is he hasn't golfed in like 20 years. And then he comes back. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm not expecting an Oscar winning performance. I'd just like to be entertained for 90 minutes or so. So I'm not expecting a lot, but I'm not. Yeah, that's why I saw this morning. I did see I should have given you the, at least there's a poster for it. And I saw Sydney Sweeney, him. There's another big name in it too. There's a couple other big names, and he has a new coach. Obviously it's not Chubbs anymore. Yeah, the first one's a classic, but the fact I get nervous to the fact that hasn't it been like 25, 30 years? When did it come out? We're in 2025. It was in the 90s, right? So I mean, we're looking at 25, 30 years. Well, why didn't you do it before? That's why I'm nervous, because I'm like, well, they're just doing it for money clearly now, and he's got to fulfill his obligation to Netflix. So he's like, well, people have wanted this forever. So, yeah, Luis Robert would be nice. In fact, didn't Verlander blow him away yesterday with like 96 or something? Was that yesterday? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that wouldn't be bad. I got my fingers crossed on Jung-Hoo Lee's back, which you hate to see that right before the season. Like his back's acting up on him. That wouldn't be good. I don't want that. All right. I think that's going to do it. We've been here for 2 hours and 8 minutes. We've done a lot of damage. It's been very good. Let me make sure that we don't have anything from anyone who wanted to talk about anything that I may have missed. Thank you so much to John Holmes for our super today. We will get a draft guy on. I do like Matt Miller. I do like McShay. There's a number of guys who do a really good job now on draft. There's a guy that I really like that does work for KJR in Seattle. In fact, I'm going on KJR in Seattle today if you want to hear me for my weekly appearance with my good friend Ian Furness. There's a guy named Rob Rang who does a really good job. I think he does CBS, but Rob Rang's up in the Pacific Northwest. And he looks a lot at the Seahawks, and the Seahawks and the Niners need a lot of the same thing. offensive line specifically. So maybe I'll get him on. He's really good. Really good. In fact, you know what? I'm going to ask my friend Ian for his number because he just texted me. He goes, hey, you coming on today? I'm like, oh, yeah, wouldn't miss it. You kidding me? Wouldn't miss it. All right, what else? Do we have anything else that we need to that is very particular for this Tuesday before I head off into the sunset? I hope we entertained you to a very high level today. Make sure that you are following John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. By the way, we're at like 4,500. Let me double check. For the show, we were at like 4,500 subscribers. So we're closing in on 5,000. And I think we're going to have some sort of a big deal when it comes to 5,000. Because, those kind of numbers, like you get to 5,000, 10,000, all those kind of things. Those are pretty big numbers. I mean, those are pretty fun numbers to hit. So, yeah, we're just over 4,500. So, yeah, pretty close. So very, very cool. Really, really cool to get to that number. And it's all because of you guys. You guys are we've built this really cool community and very excited about it. So almost to 4,500, which is really, really cool. KJR in Seattle, which I think is, hi, Franco. Somebody asked me where it was in Seattle. It's Ian Furness, KJR Seattle, which I think is 950 AM, 93.3 FM is what it is. That's what it is. 93.3 FM in Seattle, 950 AM. Good friend of mine, Ian Furness, and I have been friends in this crazy industry for 30 years. He's an amazing hockey play-by-play guy. He does the pre-half and post on TV for the Kraken. And he was also the 2023, I think, Washington State Sportscaster of the Year when he did his show, plus was covering the Seahawks for Fox 13 up there in Seattle. Guy's really good. Really, really good. And there you go. When you go on with Ian Furness, get some perspective on where the Sharks are. I will. Oh, he loves celebrating. Loves celebrating. Yeah, he's been in a good friend of mine. He's known hockey. He does hockey forever, and he's doing his dream job right now. But yeah, I will ask him. I know we've talked about celebrating before. He loves the guy. Loves him. What else? You know what? There is a great call right there, Eric. If I could get Tim right on. The thing about Tim is I can get Tim on around OTAs because he goes up to Idaho and rides the horses and goes to the snowmobiles and does all that kind of stuff. And he turns his phone off. He won't respond to anybody. And OTAs, I'll get him on. So after the draft, they do the rookie caps and everything. Tim will come back down from Idaho for a while. Then he'll head back up. And then the regular season, obviously, he lives down in the San Jose area. But yeah, we can get Tim on around OTA time, like around the first OTAs. And then he's out on the field with the guys practice, especially with now Saleh back. He's best friends with Robert Saleh. And yeah, so we'll get it. We'll get that. We'll get that. Absolutely. Appreciate it. Much, much, much appreciated. Do remember those QR codes work. So you can subscribe to my channel on the left there on Bay Area Sports Collective on the right. Please make sure that you're subscribing not only here, but the Bay Area Sports Collective. I do know, I think Tom's on at 11 today. As a matter of fact, let me do something real quick. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Yeah, Bay Area Sports Collective. Let me see what time these guys are on today. That's my page. Come on, man. Switch account. Oh, never mind. It doesn't have me on there. Hang on 1 second. Jason Puckett, by the way, good friend of mine in Seattle, is doing what I'm doing. And if you are a fan, he just does a lot of stuff. If you like college football, things like that, he will. He's absolutely great, and he's a great follow to have. Jason Puckett. Make sure that you follow Puckett. Let's see. Tolbert. He has the Steve Young. I don't see anything. I know he's coming on around 11 o'clock today. I should be better, but I think he's coming on around 11 o'clock today. And if you haven't seen the Steve Young interviews, make sure that you check that out. The Tom Tolbert Show and Bay Area Sports Collective, plus Pauly and Pauly Mac and Creative Tony will be on today as well. Check all that out at Bay Area Sports Collective. What else do we have today? All right, let me make sure. Final run through opening day. Oh, is that where you're going to be? Are you going to be there for opening day? Very, very cool. Oh, yeah. You're right. That's where Pauly Mac and Tony are going to be. So I'm going to head down there too. Yeah, we're all going to be down there for opening day. So if you're somewhere on opening day, hit me up. You have my direct line there at John Lund Radio. You can hit me up there, John at johnlundradio.com. You can hit me up right here on the YouTube page with anything like that. And yeah, we can meet up on opening day if you want to do that. What else do we have later? 1996 for Happy Gilmore. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really thought a Happy Gilmore 2 was a good idea, you wouldn't have waited almost 30 years, like 29 years. Like, come on, man. Like they didn't want to do it. This is just and I hate to be I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. He's just trying to fulfill the thing with Netflix. Where's Ron Jeremy? John Holmes and Ron Jeremy? He's not in it. No, he's not in it. In fact, I think he might be in prison is where I think he might be. But I could be wrong. Yeah, about 25 years too late. I agree with you 100%, Rockin'. Yeah, about 25 years too late. That's exactly right. Love the first Happy Gilmore. I'm not saying that at all. It's just it's probably a little bit too long. But like I said, I have a sneaking suspicion it's just because he had to fulfill Netflix. And they all probably did. Netflix probably went to him and went, dude, this is just easy money. Like, just do it. All right. That'll do us for today. Absolutely great that you were here today. Please subscribe. John Lund Unleashed. Please subscribe. Bay Area Sports Collective. Thank you for watching on X. Thank you for watching on Instagram. Thank you for watching on Twitch. Thanks for watching on Facebook. My goodness, man. We will be back later. We will be back tomorrow. By the way, I did Krug Show yesterday. If you want to check that out, late last night, very late last night. So if you missed me on the Krug Show, you can check that out. We'll be putting out some shorts later today. I have to write today. So at johnlundunleashed.com, a new column will come out there, plus a video on top of that. And do remember my fine sponsor, 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿. Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐵𝐿, an amazing job, cosmetic surgery and laser center. I'm going there today at about 11:30 this morning Pacific. I do the stem cell as well as my wife does the stem cell, and I showed you the video. In fact, I'll throw that up one more time. And I'm doing the low T. Took a quick blood test. Very simple. You're irritable, can't lose weight, you're tired. Look, man, I'm sorry, but you're getting older, and it's not a Barry Bonds thing. You just have low T. So every few months I go in. It's a quick little procedure. I feel great almost immediately. Probably takes like 2 or 3 days, and you feel amazing. And my wife is doing, as she tells you all the time, the stem cell. Just real quick.
I'm Kern, and I recently did PRP stem cell with Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿, and I am someone who's been in chronic pain for about 25 years. And he recently just did my left elbow and left shoulder. My shoulder is amazing. I'm down to 0 in pain. My left elbow's gone from about a 9 to a 2, and this has only been a month, so I'm extremely excited. I'm actually coming back to do my right foot next week. It's worked so well. So highly recommend him. Very precise and caring. So it's been great.
That is a tremendous camera work by yours truly. So check out Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 right now. If you click on that code right there, check out Dr. 𝐟𝐸𝐿. She's doing the stem cell. I am doing stem cell as well, and low T testosterone treatments as well. 𝐟𝐸𝐿 Cosmetic Surgery and Laser Center at 𝐟𝐸𝐿cosmetic.com. 𝐟𝐸𝐿cosmetic.com. If you didn't get that QR code, you can just go to the website right now. And one last thing, I am shaming my wife one last time. I had coffee made today, and yet at 7:30 this morning, one coffee delivered to our house. One coffee. Even though I had coffee made. I don't understand it. One coffee. And that is Bay Area Sports Collective. You'll know that if you're at the right place, that is us. That's me. That's Tom. That's Polly Mac and Creative Tony. So make sure you're subscribed to the Bay Area Sports Collective. Everybody have a tremendous Tuesday. Yes, it's only Tuesday. Have a tremendous Tuesday. Look forward to talking with you again at 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow Pacific time. If there is something that breaks, please do remember we will be back. So make sure that those alerts on and you are subscribed across the board at John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective. Thank you so much for hanging out today as we get close to 5,000. Very, very cool. And thank you for that as well, for telling, because look, this doesn't just happen because I'm sitting here, because you're spreading the word, and I really appreciate it. So everybody have a tremendous Tuesday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!